Welcome, everyone, yet again to the Speed Chess Championship Grand Prix. International Master Danny Wrench here. Going to be here for the next several hours as the best chess players in the world not only do battle for the biggest event, at least in terms of weekly cash prizes, but often streaming their own perspective. We check in with them. It is a blast. If you haven't been following the SCC Grand Prix every Tuesday, formerly Title Tuesday, you're missing out, but no more because you're here. So let's remind you, while I have your attention, of the format coming up ahead in the next few minutes. We're going to kick this thing off. So what is up every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time? It's a 10-round Swiss of 3-1 time control. That's blitz chess. And throughout that 10-round Swiss, that's something we've been doing here for years. We're going to be qualifying the top 8 players to move into a post-tournament knockout bracket. It's been super exciting since we launched this new format in June. You get not only the best players in the world duking it out through 10 rounds, but so many amazing talents that have the opportunity to qualify, join us on camera, and then we get to see a knockout commence until we have a clear winner. Tie breaks that we use on Chess.com, the standard, pretty much internationally recognized tie breaks, the Sonneborn-Berger tie breaks, decide who moves into the top 8 if they are equal on points. What are they playing for? Well, as I said, biggest cash prizes in terms of a weekly event anyway. It's $50,000 in weekly prizes throughout this season. The biggest prize, of course, in qualifying through the Grand Prix is making it into the big SCC knockout, our flagship in many ways. We'll remind you about the whole system and how people qualify in a little bit throughout the day. But the scoring system works just like this. You've got a Swiss system happening through 10 rounds, right? That means that whatever score you get through those 10 rounds earn you those exact amount of points in the Grand Prix. So very clear, very easy to understand. But then those who make the knockout get bonus points. Ultimately, in a day that was perfect, you could end up with 22 Grand Prix points if somehow you went 10-0 in the 10-round Swiss and then won first place in the knockout, as you can see there. Like I said, the Grand Prix is running its weekly cash prizes. It's awesome, but it's really about qualifying for the main Speed Chess Championship. Previously, we've been holding this event for 4 years, and it's always been a $50,000 prize fund for 16 of the best players in the world in a knockout. That's pretty good, but this year we doubled it. The main event is $100,000, so qualifying in to the main Speed Chess Championship is a real payday, in addition to all the other cash you can earn throughout the season. Can't wait for us to get you the details on the SCC Invitational, the SCC qualifiers. Those are going to be huge events with big cash prizes themselves. More on that to come. But the top 4 from the SCC Grand Prix is what we're here to decide every Tuesday, every week. And we've got more people streaming than ever, meaning more coffee needed than ever here on Chess.com. So hope you're with us. Let's if we take a look at the left there to the board, you see what the current season standings are. Vladislav Kovalyev has been the most consistent performer, which is why he's there at the top. He's only won, by my count. Actually, no. I'm looking at. We'll show you the next thing next. He's actually hasn't even won a Grand Prix yet. There you go. You see that Artemiev won our first one in June when we launched this new kind of season storyline here that we're super excited about. And Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, obviously, Fedoseev on Draken, Oparin, and then Hikaru Nakamura won last week. Pretty funny if you watched the week before. Hikaru was doing very well, but then got DDoSed himself in some ways. It was a funny drama. I like saying that because if you missed it, go back and check it out. It was a fun time a couple weeks ago. But Hikaru finally gets the first SCC Grand Prix under his belt, and we're sure that he'll be one of the favorites today. But there you see the season standings. Amazing to see that despite having not won one yet, Hikaru's still in the thick of it, amongst the most consistent performers. Alireza Firouzja there, a name everyone sees. Sergei Karyakin has been a great surprise in some ways, right? Because Sergei hasn't always been known as a household online blitz chess name, but the world has changed, right? Since the pandemic that shall not be mentioned, right? So a lot of things have changed for a lot of us online, and that means these events are seeing some of the biggest, baddest, and most OG names in the world of chess competing every week. So Hikaru right there, the Siberian Elephant, that's Vladislav Artemiev, for those who don't speak fluent Chess.com username. Firouzja, Konovets, that's Sam Sevian. You got Grishik, the Beast of Lyon, that's Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Dulis is Danil Dubov. So many other big names there. You've got Vidaguj Rathi there hanging in at about the 13th spot. Anish Giri is someone who we know we're going to be following throughout the day because he's also now streaming to his own YouTube channel. So Anish has not only launched a channel, he changed his name on Chess.com, at least during the event, to be Anish on YouTube, just to let people know he's streaming. There he is right there. using an awkward green screen to make sure we know that he's coming to us from the dark. He's coming to us from the shadows of our minds. Hello, my old friend. There he is, Anish Giri playing. So obviously I should bring up his game, right? So that the chess matches the stream, right? So that the dress matches the shoes. Where is Anish? God, I've got a million other games going. I got Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. You just saw Hikaru Nakamura. Grishuk is playing right here. There he is. You know why I missed his name? Because I was looking, I don't know why my brain was looking for Giri. He changed his name to Anish on YouTube. Forgot. So here we go. Anish on YouTube. You can go to his channel. I actually don't know exactly what the link is, but feel free to go check it out. Probably won't be too hard to find, and maybe one of our very helpful moderators or staff members can share a link for everyone in the chat. Go ahead and feel free to do that. Okay, so we've got Anish Giri playing the black pieces here in a... What did we have here? I'm going to click through it. We have a Sicilian, clearly. Started out with a Shimonov. That's the E6 move order, rather than a D6 move order. Queen C7, Bishop E3, A6 is very typical stuff. Queen F3, that is a weird move. And it doesn't make a lot of sense positionally. I think we saw Anish pausing a few moments ago, and that might have been why. Again, all kinds of other standard moves. Bishop E2, natural development with castles kingside. F3, playing for an eventual English attack. We see this structure a lot where you develop a pawn storm initiative on the king side in many Sicilians. Queen D2, right away, which keeps the options open, both of F3, of also F4, of castles long. All of those moves are more popular than Queen F3. So it's a strange position for the queen. Knight F6, castles long. But then again, Sicilians sharply evolve all the time, so it could be an interesting way that White's trying to approach stuff. Now we transpose into a Najdorf structure, which is what you see here, right? The E5 advance opens up the E6 square for the bishop, with the idea that combined with pressure here and a minority attack on the queen side, black is doing fine. So that's kind of what Anish is going for. But now we catch up to the live position just to see it, and interesting stuff. A unique approach from MH Parag. The main evaluation I would have is this can't be the best version White looks for in this type of game, because all the cards are in black's favor with the potential of an attack on the dark squares. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Anish tries to make an E4 pawn sack work here. By the way, he just played rook C8. Did Anish have rook F4, double attack on the queen and bishop? I wonder if he did. He might try it next. But one of the main points is that, oh, rook F4 might be met by queen H5. Yeah, he didn't like that. So instead he puts the king on safety first. In a dark square dominant position, you can tuck your king on that color complex because your opponent is just, look at it. What are you going to do? Play queen F5? Then what are you going to do, big guy? Sit on me? There's nothing to do here, right? So the king is safe. Here comes Anish with queen C4, maybe going to try for some dark squares. The main thing is if black gets E4 safely, the risk of it is it obviously opens up the E file. So be careful. But if he can get E4 safely, then the attack will be real. Interesting move, rook to B7, stopping queen D7. The question is, will MH Parag go for a queen trade on C8? I don't know. We're going to find out. If you're just tuning in, let me remind you again. This is the Speed Chess Championship. Happens weekly here on Tuesdays. It's a Grand Prix, formerly the Title Tuesday. And so much money in weekly prizes, $2,500, as well as Grand Prix points, ultimately rewarding the opportunities to play in the biggest and baddest online blitz events, that being the Speed Chess Championship main event. Almost everybody you see playing, okay, no, there's, how many title players do we have? We've got more than 800 title players in this event, so not all of them are streaming, okay? But a lot of the big names are also streaming, and that's kind of what we're doing here, checking in on Anish Giri. Hikaru Nakamura is also actively streaming right now. Vida Gujrathi, others will check in on, but we're going to stick right here with Anish, who's one of the newest of the world's elite, who's throwing his hat and building a streaming channel of his own. So we've got rook H8 coming back around to B8. I like it. Black is in control of this position and also up more than a minute on the clock. Yeah, this is a tough one for White, and this is a good lesson of what can happen when White just gives up on all the potential ways to create a pressure point. I mean, you would have wanted to play F4 a long time ago. You would have wanted to find some way to create more open lines on the king. Black has a very comfy position. Can play like rook F4, can bring the other rook to B8, which I'm anticipating indeed, because now you're threatening to take and play E4 with some pressure over here on B2. an easy position to play and a going to be a tough one for MH Parag to deal with less than 30 seconds on the clock. Lots of other top GMs playing in the event, as I said. We're going to stick right here with Anish for this round one, and throughout the early rounds, we're often just following kind of a different storyline and, you know, treating this as an opportunity to remind you of people that stream on Chess.com and try to give them some promotion. But Fabian Caruana just won his game. I can already see. You can see the standings on the left. He just jumped to the top spot. Infernal Yam, as we know, is a regular competitor. Pavel Pankratov, I think. If I got that right. Oh, my God. Pavel Pankratov, I think so. I think it's Pankratov. Okay. All right. Anish is, let's see. This is going to be a fun one for black. You don't really want to trade rooks yet, I don't think, because it's not necessary, indeed. The point is, with obstacle bishops, if you get the endgame down to just the obstacle bishops, you really often increase the drawing chances because your opponent has an opportunity to blockade on the one color complex they own that you don't. But the more pieces you have working with your obstacle bishop, the more chance you have to break down those blockades, create targets. So now we're going to see this bishop move, maybe king d6 first, but we're going to see the bishop move so that Anish can get f5 in. Okay. Indeed. He moves the bishop. Here comes f5. He can run the king up at any moment as well. And that might be the one thing he has to worry about, is watch out for rook to b3. And here comes new baby girl Brittany on b8. So that's the one place Anish could go wrong if he somehow... No, but it's too straightforward. You can put the king... Now you can bring the king over to c6. Rook to b3. But then there's bishop e4 coming. Yeah, but you have f5. f5 would stop bishop e4. Okay, so he plays f5 first. Same sort of move order. Rook to c3 cuts off the king. Wow, this is getting tricky. Did Anish mess this up? Because here's the idea. If e4, b7, you win the rook, but white gets a queen with check. Anish is looking nervous there. Also looking pretty well lit. Shout out to the new streamer for really nailing his lighting. Yeah, he has to... Wait. No, he's losing. He has to take and then play king c6. No, it's going to be a draw, I guess, if he can trade. But now you have to take and play king in. But white plays king to d4. And very possible Anish loses this game. e3 forces bishop up, so he goes for g4 instead. Here comes... Oh, that was a huge blunder. White just gave him the game. Let's see Anish's reaction. Oh my gosh. It should have been a draw. We're on a small delay here, so let's sit on the edge of our seat. Come on, Anish. The people want emotion. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, he knows he got lucky. There it was, right there. As soon as he got g3. The point is, if white takes on g4, of course, it's just a draw. But his opponent didn't want to give up his last pawn, right? Because now it's a draw with king and bishop. But instead, in the process, he goes for a win and loses here. Anish Giri really messed this up. And if we back up to the critical position, I think it was right here. He really waited too long to bring the king over. He should have been more aggressive to get the king in front of the pawn. But maybe not. No, what was that? Yeah, I guess touching down on c6 was a problem. Wow, what a unique position. Rook h1 apparently also was a horrible move. It put the rook on exactly the wrong diagonal. Okay, funny stuff. All right, let's do a quick highlight of all the big games we saw. Hikaru Nakamura gets the win with the black pieces over Caterpillar 35. That's why you see him in the standings. Alexander Grishuk gets the win, also with the black pieces. The Beast of Lyon goes down. Maxime has just been struggling overall. It's funny because he's one of the few of the world's elite that has won a title Tuesday since converted to the SCC Grand Prix. He won all the way back on, I think it was June 9th. But he has not been a very consistent performer online, really since the end of the candidates. That's the truth. And he and I talked about it when he won that event. And I interviewed him, and he said he just hasn't always been feeling it. But anyway, today he starts out with a tough loss. Fabian Caruana got a win. Pavel Pankratov, as we said, Infernal Yam, does get a win by forfeit, right? Really worked hard for that one, didn't he? Vida Gujrathi got the dub. So that's good for those who are Vida Gujrathi fans. And as we just saw, Anish Giri, Anish on YouTube, his username on Chess.com now. We look at the standings, and you see so many of the others you would expect to have won, right? Peter Svidler, Sergei Karyakin, Georg Meyer, right? Danil Dubov, Gogif, that is Korobov, Anton Korobov. Ali Reza Faruja, right? Skipped right over that one in the top three. So pretty exciting stuff. While we have a moment before the next round begins, I should give a shout out to the fact that we do have a new sponsor, an official sponsor of the event, transitioning over from Gambit. Dr. Wolf is now the service bringing you what is the SCC Grand Prix Weekly. Have you ever wanted a personal chess coach who you can identify with? Not just personally, because he looks like your kind uncle, but also this kind uncle now has the ability to artificially intelligently identify your strengths and weaknesses. It's an amazing personal assistant that gives you real-time feedback in your games. You can download it on iOS and Android. Get feedback with every move based on this technology that explains the game like never before. With Dr. Wolf, you can build your confidence with personalized lessons recommended for your level of play. There you go. How's that? How's that for a motivating push to go download the Dr. Wolf app? All right. Well, we've got a lot of other chess to get to here. Hikaru Nakamura, game 2, but let's head over to our other guy streaming, who we've got on camera to check in with, Vidit Gujrathi, because did he just blunder? Oh my God! He puts his hand on face palm. Isn't that an emote? Let's get your facepalm emotes out. We need a facepalm emote on Chess TV. Yeah. What happened here? What happened, Anish? Okay, wait. He took on d5, which is okay, but then he played e5. Does that not just allow bishop g2? Yeah. Anish is like, wait, what was I doing here? I think bishop g2 is the move that's good for black. Yeah, looks good. Just kind of a miscalculation, because what you're thinking when you play e5 is, okay, black's going to take here, and then I can take. This is what he's thinking, and it's about equal, as you can see on the eval bar. But if black plays bishop g2, and you take here, I think black is just going to take the rook. Yeah. So that's the problem. Just one of those miscalculations. Oh, wow, he gets lucky. His opponent played knight takes d5, and you see the eval bar come right back up for white. Right? Back to equality. Anish, not Anish, sorry. Vidit Gujrathi gets away with one there. An interesting opening here for Vidit that he gets away with, at least from a material perspective, but he's still not in a great spot. Yeah, kind of a super GM bluff. I agree with that. But that happens from time to time where you believe the tactics and it's a mistake that people can make all too often. Vidit Gujrathi is streaming his perspective on YouTube, just like Anish Giri, so you can check those guys out and give their channels a follow or a sub, whatever they call it, on the many different platforms that exist. I don't think Vidit has a great position here. I love this move f5. This is a great move, taking advantage of the fact that white would love to capture here normally, create this positional weakness, right? Open up the e-file. But I think rook or bishop takes, and the f-file is going to be much better for black long term. Maybe rook takes is even better, right? You put immediate pressure on the knight, and because this king has not solved its dysfunction, and how are you going to do so when the queen hits g2, right? f5 is a really great move because white can't take it. That means black has gained this space over here on the king side. He's always going to have ideas of f4, right? Currently in a really nice grip over the light squares, just positionally holding down the critical squares. I like David Kalashian's chances to get the upset here right now. And then I look at the clock and realize that that's not the case. He's down under a minute. Vidit's going to get this one. Yeah. Pulled back in time, and the thing, even with the blunder, he never actually took so much time that he lost his way. So here we go. We've got rook f7. King g2. Yeah, this is going to be kind of simple for white now. He can actually double on the c file even. Yeah, Vidit has turned this one around. Already in great shape. Queen c4 is another way to do that. If the queens are traded, the rook immediately comes to hit the c6 knight, and we bring more pieces over. So, good stuff for Vidit. All right. Let's back up and check in on some of the other games. Some of the other biggest names in the event. Let's go back and check out Hikaru's games. See how Hikaru looks today, right? As he said himself, right? Form is temporary, class is permanent, meaning sometimes you don't know when these guys throw in, whether it's going to be their day that they're on form, right? But Hikaru very often on form when it comes to these events, so we'll see if he's looking good. This is not a great position for white right now, though. On the defensive a little bit with the potentially open king. Bishop h5. Doesn't that just allow rook takes g7? Rook takes, queen takes, bishop takes, bishop d1, bishop f8. And I think white is just better. I think that was a huge blunder. Instead of bishop h5, black could play things like rook f4, slowly look for bishop e4. Oh, he plays queen takes h5. I didn't even see that. What a move. Hikaru leaning in. Slightly new background and space for Hikaru. Temporarily, or maybe for the foreseeable, relocated to California. He announced that on his stream. Hikaru just completely winning now. d4 just allowed him to trade queen. Look at Hikaru. He gives us a classic. Is that Hikaru Nakamura number 14? That's kind of a dirty stare. I haven't seen that in a while. Way to go, Hikaru. Giving us the OG Hikaru look. Love it. Yeah, now it's over. He can threaten all kinds of stuff. What a crazy position back here. I want to go back to it. Because rook takes g7 was good, but I didn't even realize queen takes h5 was just winning on the spot. Because if queen takes, his idea was he has the windmill. Rook takes g7 takes, and he can do all kinds of stuff. Perhaps the simplest is just back up to g5 and win the queen, right? So a crazy move. Bishop h5 was just an absolute blunder. Hikaru punishes him, and he's going to go on to win. Shout out to Nakamura streaming from the new location. Let's back this thing up. Maybe we check out some other top players. Not on camera, but let's see how Fabiano Caruana's looking. The world number 2, back when over-the-board chess ratings were a thing. Is it safe to say that yet? Practice safe chess when you're on Chess TV, I always say. And I'm going to say that over-the-board chess will probably never be the same. But Fabiano, the number 2 player in the world, looking pretty good right here. He's actually up a piece. But okay, he's in a little bit of pressure, so what's he doing? He's pausing for a moment. Look at that simple move, rook a1. Like, he's just going to push the a-pawn and not even think about it. Crazy. That's crazy sauce. That's crazy talk. But he does it. Now he's just going to... Okay, you got to move. Rook takes d4 was a threat. He moves. He runs. Here comes the a-pawn. He wasn't kidding when he put the rook behind the a-pawn. He wasn't kidding, Fabiano says. No, seriously, Dan. I'm just going to push the a-pawn, buddy. Classic stuff. We've got a lot of other people also streaming. I think we're going to try to check on another one. I'm not sure he's still playing this round. But we'll get him on camera anyway. Ariantari also streaming. For those who haven't given his channel a follow yet on Twitch, go ahead and do so. Look like he's got the nice streamer headset going. Ariantari is building a Twitch channel himself, so more of the world's elite chess players streaming than ever before. And you should give them all a follow. Right now, we like to see these early stages of the event as our opportunity to kind of be the routing station. So if you're touching in here on twitch.tv/chess, search chess in the game category and see everybody playing and streaming and give them a follow. We know we've got a lot of other streamers throwing down, not necessarily among the world's elite, but we'll try to follow them as well. I'm going to come back over to, let's see, one game still going amongst the top players. Ariantari versus Infernal Yam, because Infernal Yam is losing, but is it going to be tricky with only a few seconds? The knight and the pawns can be nasty to deal with. How is white going to deal with it here? Now there's f4. Oh, but if you play f4 check, you would have lost the knight. That was a very nice trick, putting the bishop on d3. So Pankratov had to back up. f4 is a trick. If king takes g4, knight e5 check is a fork. Pushes him back. This is what I came to this game. This is one of those weird games where I know he's up a rook, but this result is not clear in blitz. He could play for knight c4 and could have gone for the fork on e3. I think he might want to. You can bring the king up. He'll probably play rook e6. You can go knight c4 because it threatens g3 and then knight e3 check. Okay. But now you've lost the thread and you lose the pawn. Very impressive by Ariantari. FIDE Master holds his own. amongst the sharks there and gets the W. Good for him. How many games are still going? We've got one more game still going here in round 2, and so we bring it up. A rook ending, as almost they always are. Whenever we're down to that final game, like, can we get like a math on that? It's almost always a rook ending, or king and rook versus king and bishop, king and rook versus king and knight, right? And it's, you know, obviously not that big of a surprise. Those are the types of games that will last forever, but it's just funny. You end up talking a lot about those things because of it. Now black has messed it up. The king will hide, and the d pawn can even run, or e pawn first. Yeah. The 2 pawns are much better than 1. I think black is going down. Very well played by Mr. Oh Ship right here. Yep. Well, that's going to bring, I think that's going to bring round 2 to a close. So we'll be kicking off round 3 here in a second. We've got, let me see, bringing up the team here. Checking on stuff. Oh, we got the next round. It's underway. Hikaru Nakamura already going. Find us the knight and bishop mate, Danny. The knight and bishop mate is one of them. One of them that's always there, for sure. As far as the has been analyzed a million times, right? On Chess TV at the end of these rounds. So we've got another streamer to check in with because she looks like she's a future streaming star, future pro. That's Women's International Master Andrea Navrotescu. Navrotescu, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Not exactly sure where she's from. Flag might suggest France. Am I right about that? All I know is she's got a unicorn as her flair. So shout out to that. That's way too much. We've got the young lady here, Women's International Master Andrea Navrotescu. Happy Bastille Day. Did I say that right? Happy Bastille Day to everyone. Get your baguettes and your wine glass out. Go for it. Have a good time. All right. Well, who's this young lady? We'll see. She's competing for the... I mean, right now everyone's competing for first, but also competing for one of the top lady prizes. Perhaps a future star in the making. She goes up against an F4 Sicilian. Shout out to Robert Hess for playing a dubious approach against black's best weapon. All right, but now we get this early e5 with d5 transition. You're essentially in a French where black has the advantage because white has not established d4. And if d4 comes, black is just going to capture it. And look at Andrea. She knows exactly what to do. She just captures it without thinking twice. She's got her positional chess training. So what you've got here is, okay, that's a little bit of a weird approach. I'm kind of liking white's position better now. I think taking d4 a second time was a little premature. When what you really want to do is maybe build up on that pressure. So that kind of helps white reset. And now look at her. She's gone full Harry, you're a wizard on the H-file here. That's bullet specialty stuff, but it's how you get in big trouble, right, in the big leagues, because white should just be playing f5 here and asking questions later. You've got the queen and rook battery, the king just sitting on e8. I mean, if f5, knight e5, bishop b5 check, we block and trade on c6, and then I take e6, and isn't Bob your uncle on f7 at the end of that line? Okay, this is already crazy. This allows bishop b5 check. Bishop b5, we take everything on c6, and then f5. Again, G Asul, or Jasul, or whatever, I'll just call him casual. We're going casual. Casual is not being as aggressive as he should be. White is still in a great position. F5 is still begging to be played. I'm sure the computers love this. You just have to blow this open. Like, this is just, the king is just going to be sitting here. Here comes e6. This is a serious problem for black. But white is just taking his time. Still, okay, now he takes. He's going to try to put a pony on d4, going the positional route rather than the blow the f-file open and checkmate you route. I think from a practical point of view, especially in blitz, white has already missed the opportunity. But I don't know if she knows she's on Chess TV. I think she does. She's all smiles right now. Look at her. She's entertaining us. I don't know what she's listening to, but it's probably some sort of like Bop, chick, bop, ba, do, bop, bibbidi, bop. You know, the Hansons are still big overseas. Hanson. Sorry, that was ice from my iced coffee. I was not spitting back into my cup. Okay, Dad. Don't call me Dad. I'm not your dad. Maybe I am your dad. I don't know that. I hope not. LOL, that was inappropriate. Anyway, shout out to Chess TV. We got Nate L100 confirming that indeed she is from France, as I said. Oh, no, that's the flag of Romania. Is it? Can we get a decision on that? I'm not going to defend myself because I don't have flags memorized, all right? I'm not Magnus Carlsen, all right? I didn't have my dad, Henrik, teaching me the country flags at 3 years old. I do my best here. I know a lot of flags are red, white, and blue. A lot of them are, okay? Just different combinations of red, white, and blue. What's the decision? It is France. That's what I said. Thank you. Don't confuse me. The surname looks Romanian, though, from Diamond member Gambit Man. I agree. Surname Romanian. Okay. We've got a lot of other things to check in on. Shout out to Maxime Bache-Legrave, who, despite losing his first game, has not given up. He comes back, gets another dub, so he's keeping himself within the thick of things. Where else do we want to go in the World Wide Web? We've got, as we've said, Hikaru Nakamura among the biggest names throwing down. We've got so many streamers as well. We have, I gave a follow to Gotham Chess earlier. Maybe we'll at some point we'll check in with Levy Rosman. We know is a streamer. We know Simon Williams is going. We got so many people streaming. Again, just search the chess category on Twitch. Peter Svidler is streaming right now. Everybody and their cousins, mothers, ex-boyfriends, lawyers, roommate is streaming on Chess.com right now. Everybody within that category is streaming on Chess.com. So if you have a mother's ex-boyfriend's, cousins, lawyer's former roommate, they're probably streaming on Chess.com, just like Levy Rosman. There you go. Levy just played a very bad move right as we came here. Classic commentator's curse. He was in a good spot, and did he just hang his bishop? Why did Black not just take the bishop? He's played rook e8, but Levy, you better come back. Yo, bro, you forgot your bishop, I think. But, okay, he can also play queen f5 check. So White is down a couple pawns here, but has some pressure. Wait, no, White's down a piece here. So White could have just been down 2 pieces, but Black immediately plays e4. So however Levy got here was probably via a dubious sacrifice, one after my own heart. He goes for this classic b4 anti-Sicilian. Didn't you watch Roman Ginchihashvili's videos, Levy? He frowns upon this system for White. Look at this bishop c4 trick. Going for a fork. You dirty dog. Silly rabbit. Silly Levy. Tricks are for kids. Gets himself in huge trouble here by getting the queen under attack. Let's see. White sacrificed the piece to get d5. I wonder if Levy missed that c4 was hanging, or if he just thought the attack was worth it. But right now it doesn't look like Levy has enough to justify the piece sacrifice, and he's probably going down here. In fact, he got up and left his chair and has already resigned. Classic Levy. Sorry, just kidding. Levy's a great player, and he'll be back, I'm sure. But that didn't work out. Quickly, while we're waiting to check in with another streamer, I'll go back to checking on a niche on YouTube here. But we've got so many people streaming, hardly enough time. Make sure I'm following the one and only P. Svidler. I am indeed, but I think he's already done with his game. Okay, so we've got a niche on YouTube here. We can go anywhere. Remind you, if you're searching the chess category on Twitch, a niche on YouTube, as you can guess, is probably streaming on YouTube, not Twitch, along with Vida Gujarati and a few others. The whole world is changing in regards to our ability as chess fans to find content all over the internet, on all the different many chess websites, all the different content platforms. So lucky you, right? We're back to checking in on a niche here, and he's should be winning this rook ending, but it's one of those weird positions where don't let the eval bar fool you. It's not as simple as Black is just crushing. You have to find the right approach. Okay, now he's going to win the h-pawn. It is as simple as Black is just crushing, I think. No, but then a-pawn falls. And here's what I'm saying, guys. The transition is not clear. He goes for it, but this is a theoretically drawn ending. If you know your rook endings, the 2 on none that are split, F and H, with proper defense is actually a... Oh, it just blundered, made an H1, and Anish missed it. Okay, He's going to win anyway. Oh my gosh. Did you see that? Okay, we're going to let it finish. But he blundered mate on h1. Literally, this is a drawn ending. This is a drawn ending. If white plays rook a8 here, this is how you draw these endings. Because these two pawns are basically defensible via the standard like Lucina, rook on long side, king on short side stuff. Let me just give an example. If rook a8, the king tries to come in, you think you're good, they can check, and now you end up in these weird positions where your pawns are split and it's an easy draw. So theoretically, this is a drawn ending, but white checkmates himself with rook f2. Anish misses it, but it doesn't matter because he finds it on the next move, after king to g3 and then rook h1. Wow. Anish, I'm watching you, buddy. I'm not super psyched about this chess here. I'm going to be honest. I'm here to be honest, all right? You need to pick it up. I can't keep giving shout-outs to your YouTube channel if you're missing mate in one. It's just not a thing I do, okay? I have very few principles left in me, and that's one of them, okay? Doesn't give shout-outs to YouTube channels that miss mate in one Dan. That's my current nickname, motto. All right. Still a few games going here in round 3. And checking on some of them. I'll just bring some of them up because it's fun to see. Here's a rook ending that's about to go well for white. What else we got? We got a game with a username called Wild Tricks, right? Makes sense. Should be just a simple rook ending checkmate. Doing work. Way to go, Wild Tricks. What else we got? We got one game left. Now, as I clicked it, the game ends, and just like that, round 3 is in the book. So we're going to see the SCC Grand Prix continue to roll on with round 4 all the way May. Whatever happened to Madonna's acting career? All the way May. What a great movie. Just like baseball, there is no crying on Tuesday. Not entitled Tuesdays, the SCC Grand Prix. We don't allow that. But what we do allow is streamers to rock their own perspective, and we've got the man, the one, the only, the myth, the legend, Peter Svidler. So that's a flag I know. Red, white, and blue, but it's Russia. Okay? I was confident that the other red, white, and blue configuration was France, again. But I don't pride myself on being smart. So, Frank 1EO007 wants to know why are some in first and some in the 8th and 14th spot. So the way it works is, obviously right now there's a million people with 3 out of 3, right? You can see some of the biggest names in the world, and you know, Hikaru Nakamura is 3 out of 3, but he's not even at the top, right? The reason for that is that the Sonnenborn Burger tiebreak is, again, it's, without going into all the details, but it's basically based on kind of like strength of opposition and their performance. And so as it goes on, sometimes the higher rated players have worse tiebreaks because they've played lower rated people, right? Your rating is this and you're playing here. So getting the early dubs it's what you have to do to win the event, but it's not going to show up as super sexy on your tiebreakers yet, right? As it goes on, your tiebreaker improves because you play stronger and stronger people, and often people that are lower rated that have won games will lose, in theory, to people that are stronger than them. So a lot of times people just tuning in at first look at the standings and go like, what's going on there? That guy's only an IM, you know, and then people start screaming cheating, and none of that's true, right? We're working super hard. We'll remind you of everything we're doing with fair play at our first break upcoming here. But that's why you see the standings shake out the way they do early on, because the tiebreaker system actually rewards lower rated players. Why? Because they're playing higher rated players and getting those victories. So as it goes on, things tend to shake out, but that's the very quick Danny Wrench TLDR of how that works. So there you go. We've got Peter Svidler giving commentary. Go to twitch.tv/PLBRTA. It stands for Polberta. But he likes to eliminate vowels whenever he can. That's Peter's thing. I've been talking about it with him for years, right? Why are you eliminating vowels in your name, buddy? Just my thing, right? Only one vowel, Peter, as they call him. That's the A. That's a good one, Super F21. Too long, didn't listen. That describes my kids. But that's TLDL. I said TLDR. So, there you go. Gotham Chess, by the way, striking back. Levy angry. Levy unhappy about that last loss, and he just gets a 23-move dub. So shout out to Levy with a Dutch. I just got to see it because it looks fun. What did he do? You go for the attack? What'd you do? Oh, D5 was a wretched move. The best thing to do is open the center when your king is on a standing file. # sarcasm. That was not a good idea. And Levy Levy goes for the kill and then wins a rook on a1. Okay, great. Good for him. So Levy Rosman strikes back. I guess we should probably stay on the hunt for people that are streaming, especially early on, because it's our opportunity to help their channels grow and give them a shout out. As the event goes, we will know who the best performers are that day, and we'll focus on their games, whether they're streaming or not. Let's go back to Ariantari's game. Ariantari, currently streaming on Twitch, growing a channel, and currently in a better looking position with the two bishops, although there is a bit of a staring contest going on right here, right? What's going on here? Okay, he decides, I don't want to trade. Wise decision, I think. The thing about this structure that really favors black, okay, is he has the dark square bishop, and so if you could start undermining the dark squares, it only creates more opportunities for the second player, not for the first player, because white doesn't have a dark square bishop. So rook to c8 prepares c5. Bishop e4 tried to stop it due to the pin, but he says, no, thank you, rook b8. So the reason I love Tari's position is at some point this is the plan, and here we go, right? He plays c5. You open me once, I'm going to play b4 and open you twice. In fact, I think he can even do it right away. The idea, and why is this a long-term plan you can learn from and apply to your own games? Because, again, you want to recognize always what highlight and just, it's like good business advice, they say, right? Invest in the strengths you have over the competition, right? And try to neglect the weaknesses, right? In this situation, you have a dark square bishop, your opponent does not. So everything about this position is about investing in the dark squares to open those up and allow your pieces to work together on that side of the board. So this is exactly the kind of plan that as you're watching, you should take note of. Those are where your mindset should be. And when you develop plans that are based on those positional advantages, right, the things you have your opponent doesn't, better pawn structure, dark square bishop, whatever that is, if they blunder along the way, that's just icing on the cake. Where a lot of beginners lose their way is they're looking for tricks all the time nonstop, thinking that tactics are the only thing that win the game, instead of understanding that strategy is what has to come first, and then the tactics will happen naturally. Tactics are the servant of strategy, not the other way around. Thank you, Mikhail Botvinnik, the father of the Soviet chess school. That's a direct quote. Tactics are the servant of strategy, and that's how you develop a nice strategic plan. He'll move his rook to safety, and then here comes a3, and Tari is putting on a clinic of how to execute a dark square bishop advantage, and I love it. I love every second of it. Can you not hear in my voice that I love it? I'm getting passionate about a chessboard. I clearly love what I do. Nice move, bro. That's how tactics happen, because look what happened. All of this positional stuff put white under a ton of pressure. White was panicked. White played rook e3 to try to guard it. You know what happens when you panic about strategical concepts? You make tactical blunders. Tactics serve strategy, and so white blundered the skewer and now has just lost material because he was trying to stop Tari's positional plan. Can someone, we got to make a video about this game later on. This is a great freaking game. Let's make a highlight. My producer's all over. He just hits a button and he's like, I marked the highlight Dan was talking about. Great game by Ariantari, and great work to continue to kick things off. What is Jesse Cry's username? There we go. Hey, guess what his name is, Dan? Jesse Cry. Well, we're now following Jesse Cry. We're going to give a shout out to the Chess Dojo, a growing channel that is kind of co-opted, right? Not quite Chess Brawl co-opted, which is really just Eric Hansen and Amon Hamilton, right? The inappropriate guys from Canada that we've known to grow and love. This is a number of different people that are often streaming from the Chess Dojo. I've seen Kostya Kavutsky. I think I've seen David Prewis. So those are a couple international masters known to the Chess.com community. Obviously, we have Grandmaster Jesse Cry in front of me, a great teacher. So, unfortunately, Jesse is not in a good position, but we've got the Chess Dojo here, and we've got Jesse Kai streaming. Head over to twitch.tv/Chess Dojo Live and give him a like. What? Ariane lost. I love how people try to troll. Does Danny know what co-opted means? I think so. I don't know. It's a cooperative effort, I guess. Shout out to Grandmaster Hess. Chess TV just reminded me that Grandmaster Hess is 3.5 out of 4. We'll check in with Bobby in just a moment. And anyway, the show continues to roll on. We've got a ton of big games going. In fact, we've got a ton of big names still playing. Let's go check out Hikaru's game. See if we can get him on camera if possible, because I think he's in a bit of trouble. Trouble, although he's holding on. He might be able to draw this. With time on the clock, it's possible, but not likely. This is a tough one. So something Oh, it's against Jabava. Okay, well, that would make sense, right? Bador Jabava is one of the strongest chess players in the world and a tactical nuisance. So often in blitz, he can be a real nightmare to deal with. So Jabava will likely convert against Hikaru here. Wouldn't put it past Hikaru to swindle or trick something, but definitely a big trouble. Big trouble for Hikaru. We'll see if he can swindle something. Vidit Gujrathi is the only other huge name streamer still going in this round. I'm watching his game as well. Vidit Chess. We'll check in with that. It might still be going when this game is done because it's a queen ending that looks like they're going to play forever. So, will Hikaru find a way to swindle this while we get ready to maybe check in with Vidit Gujrathi? Making it tricky, but again, this is just kind of straightforward. It's too much, especially for a guy like Jabava. Too much, and he should be able to get it. So let's prepare to back up and go check in with Vidit, because I think that's going to be a closer one. Wouldn't be surprised if Hikaru kind of falls there soon. So big win for Bador Jabava. And here we've got Vidit Gujrathi on the white side of a queen and pawn ending. Going to try to convert. Getting his king in a little bit of a tickle game here. That's not what you... But look out. Okay, if black blunders the check, white can check and trade queens, right? That's the crossfire check you're trying to avoid. So Vidit is... but he's about to get a triangulation. He has to go to h6 to avoid the draw, I think. Here comes queen e3. Go king f6 or it's a draw. At some point, you're going to put yourself in a position where black is just repeated so many times. He gives the wrong check. Vidit is able to trade queens. But is it enough to win? Is it a win even if he trades queens? We're going to find out. Because he doesn't. I don't think it is. Oh, h6. The computer doesn't like it anymore. Why? It must be because of h4. No, but if you ever... It must be because of h5. Now king e6. That's the idea. And if king back h5, white wins. And if h5, g5, Vidit did it. Here comes h5, and he's got the opposition. What a nice example of how to use irregular opposition there. We'll back up a little bit and see before we go to break. We're going to have our first fair play check-in in just a moment. But really nice technique there from Vidit, whether it was winning or not, at least just to recognize the proper way to create opposition in a king and pawn ending with only a few seconds on the clock. So, but that's why they make the big bucks to play chess, and why I make, you know, just enough to continue to justify my my commentary here. But they're good at solving those things with very few seconds on the clock. Very nice. I'm just going to back up and take a quick peek as we've got Vidit on camera. Was that really winning? So this transition here, you have to be super careful, because if you play the g-pawn and it's traded, right, the h-pawn is not something you can win with, right? So taking with the king is a draw, and if you take with this pawn, now it's also a draw because the king is in front. You never want your pawn equal to your king in rank, because that will create a draw in these king and pawn endings. So he was trying to avoid that. He probably could have played king e6 right away, but he went there, then king e6 to push the king back. If h5 was played, you would have had g5, and you still would have gotten that irregular opposition to push the king back. And after the king moved, then he got h5, and the point is the king can't say pass. One of the brilliant things about chess is it's not a game where you're allowed to pass your turn if you don't like what you see. Zugzwang is real, and move compulsion is a thing for black in king and pawn endings, and that's exactly how you win these. So, okay, wow, great technique there. Round 4 here on our Title Tuesday / SCC Grand Prix on July 14th is coming to our first fair play break. But before we send it to the break, before we send you to the break, let me remind you again that our new title sponsor here every Tuesday is currently our Dr. Wolf app, your friendly personal chess coach. Again, the technology is designed to give you real-time feedback and insights to get immediate results in your game. Again, you can play against Dr. Wolf. He's nice, he's kind, he doesn't hurt your feelings when you make mistakes. It's also available, of course, download it on iOS or Android today. When we return, we will remind you all that we do behind the scenes during our fair play breaks, the team working super hard, more of the SCC Grand Prix in just a couple minutes. And we are back here, round 5 of the Title Tuesday SCC Grand Prix here on July 14th has just gotten underway. We take fair play breaks after round 4 and round 7. The things that we're doing behind the scenes are a lot, and so these breakdowns here and images are just designed to give you a quick high-level view of our fair play process. We're using statistics, also manual review with experts and title player analysis move by move, along with our algorithm projecting and predicting and trying to find non-human play and anomalies even in very small amounts of data. Whenever I'm doing these shows, I like to say the things I probably shouldn't say, which is last week we actually closed 2 grandmasters and got a confession from one of them already. And sometimes you get confessions that actually validate whether someone else gave you a confession or not because of things that went down. So we're doing things so much all the time, and our team working super hard behind the scenes. We'll remind you a little bit more about the whole team when we take our next break. Right now we're going to dive into the games. You've seen exactly what our process is there. Hopefully you had time to read it. But we'll talk to you a little bit more about the team and things we do at our next fair play break, which is after round 7. So here we go. Right now I've got Fabiano Caruana's game up because that was a fun one to start with. Fabiano is doing well, right? Amongst the world's leaders, if you look at the standings, right? On the left side of the board there in front of you, Fabi is on 4 of 4. The number 2 player in the world looks to be on form today. We'll see if he can keep it up. Parham Magsudlu, that's Paramov, right there, number 1. And then Peter Svidler, right there. Vidit Chess, also on 4 of 4. So we'll go back to Vidit Chess, who just gave us a great finish in his last game, that king and pawn ending that he converted. And now he looks to be in a great spot against Conrad Holt. How did Conrad Holt's king get to f2, right? Conrad doesn't always value king safety, and that's kind of funny I can say that. Like, on a personality level, I've played Conrad many times, and a very talented grandmaster from the U.S. He's sometimes he gets in sharp positions like this a lot. He was playing like Alpha Zero before it was cool, this guy. But sometimes it can get him in trouble, although the more I look at this one, looks were deceiving, right? The king on f2 made me think, okay, Vidit's probably doing well, but then you look at it, you realize you've got this kind of lack of development for black on the queen side. The bishop pair for white certainly counts for something, and if you can organize these pawns into a storm, why isn't white doing well? And here, okay, you can't play f4 because of e4 right away, but at some point here, white could put the king on g2, maybe bishop d3, right? And you would like to get a big storm. Bishop d3 right now I don't like. You don't want to let black trade, gain another tempo with the knight, and sort of fix the development problems. The biggest advantage white has right now is that black is kind of dysfunctional in terms of development. So maybe white goes pawn storm on the king side here. This is going to be an interesting one. We'll see. Oh, I don't like bishop d3 at all. He plays the move I was saying, and I think it's because black should just take it and knight c5. Yeah, this was a problem, and I think that Conrad wanted f4 too much, I think, and so that's why he was trying for that. But I think Vidit's position looks a lot easier to play now, right? f4 is still not possible because of e4, so why'd you give up the bishop, right? And I think that this was probably, in fact, I said I played Conrad Holt many times. Yeah, this is actually from a line that he and I have played. Conrad loves this queen c2 e4 line. This is like his pet weapon. You can look up Conrad Holt in any database and see what I'm talking about. So this is a line that I've actually played against Conrad several times as black. And again, I liked his version there at first hindsight, but bishop d3, the computers didn't like it either. Bishop d3 was just giving black a way out of the issues, and now I'm thinking Vidit's going to be in good shape. So okay, interesting stuff. Remind you again, there's so many people streaming right now. You look up the chess category on Twitch. You can find a lot of people streaming. Vidit Gujarati and Anish Giri are actually streaming on YouTube, right? A bit of a YouTube streaming community growing, in addition to what we have seen on Twitch here over the last few years. So yeah, check it out. Check it out. And all right, well, is Conrad going to get something here? What's he got? He got g5? Vidit's giving a little bit of a pause here. This is going to be an interesting one. Interesting finish here, because Conrad might still get some kind of dark square mating net. Yeah, I actually think this is dangerous, and I think the evaluation can be deceiving. You're even threatening things like bishop f6 here, sacrificing the piece to open up g5 for the queen. And obviously the g-file, right? Rook's on the g. This is a super dangerous position, and that's why Vidit is thinking, and then plays the move bishop f5. Look at that trick. If you take it, I play knight e4 with a double check, and I win the queen. So this is not the blunder of a bishop. Knight takes d4 is no good. But this move, bishop f6, crazy, crazy sauce, right? That's the kind of blitz move you have nightmares about, though. I don't really care what the computer says, just to throw it out there. The idea is something like this happens, and you storm in here. Is this not dangerous? Now I can take with check? Wow, this looks really, really tricky and scary. Conrad's going to use this time. We're going to stay right here and see how Vidit handles this position under time pressure. Going to get some exciting moments. By the way, I feel like every game is coming down to the wire this round. Hikaru is still battling it out. Anish Giri is still battling it out. Oh, Hess just lost to Demetrion Draken. Sorry, Bobby. Anish Giri actually did just win. Fabiano is still playing. Whoa, rook takes e5? He's got knight d3 check. But is it even good? Rook takes knight to d3 check. The king moves, and then you still have problems here with like h6 or bishop h6, right? You still got dark square problems. This is super dangerous. Conrad down to the final seconds, though. And a whole bunch of games closing in on their final moments. You're probably watching some of those streams and not even hearing me right now. But Svidler also one of the top players in the standings. He had an interesting game, but he drew, and it's already in the books. Conrad literally living off the increment here. He gets 1 second back with every move. Remember that. But now Vidit, down under 5 seconds. Here we go. How are you going to deal with g7? He plays g6. Bishop f4. Wow. Immediate response by Holt. He expected it. You're threatening to win the knight. Bishop back. He's going to trade and just win the bishop. A simple approach, and somehow Conrad Holt is up a piece at the end of the line. Vidit is in trouble. Bites his lip there. We see Mr. Gujarati nervous about his chances. Whoa, rook back to c8, but you're just missing things. Here comes the... As soon as the king gets out of check, you're going to lose the endgame. There must have been some just perpetual there that he could have had. Rook h2, there's no checks for the queen. Queen e5 is lights out. Conrad Holt is going to upset Vidit Gujarati before our very eyes. And wow, he does so. We can see his Vidit's YouTube stream on a little bit of a delay there. He shakes his head, smacks the table. Says something that we won't repeat for the children. I got ice in my mouth. Parham Magsulu and Fabiano Caruana are two of the biggest names that moved to 5 of 5. Obviously, if you don't look at number 6, Anish Giri. Anish Giri, Anish on YouTube, still in the thick of things. We see Peter Svidler, who was one of those big names at 4 of 4 a round ago, is now on 4.5 out of 5, sitting in the 15th spot. A lot to go here. Remember, we have the initial portion that's taking place here, a 10-round Swiss where all these guys are battling it out. But the top players, the top 8 players within that round will move on to the knockout. The knockout portion features the top 8 performers on the day, and then they compete for the $1,000 first prize as well as the bonus Grand Prix points. So we have a moment. Let's remind everybody and show them where the season standings are. That's our tournament standings as of today. These are the season standings coming in. I haven't seen where Vladislav Kovalyev has been today. And Vladislav Artemyev, the Siberian Elephant, also not currently amongst the top leaders as far as I can see. So those are two guys that are doing some of the best things overall throughout the five Grand Prix events we've already had. But they're not really among the leaders today anyway, and we'll see that could change. But there you see Kovalyev, Artemyev, and Nakamura. Fedoseev, Magsudlu, I guess, is right now of the season leaders the guy to be watching for, because we know that he's number 1 right now in terms of the standings and tiebreak. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Interesting stuff, and remind you of what they're playing for, which is to win these Grand Prix points and ultimately qualify for the $100,000 16-player Speed Chess Championship. Okay. So, only a couple games still going this round. Let's see, let's check in with CKG Chess versus Chelsea Monica. Okay, well, it looks like CKG is going to take this one. Working it with no diggity. Okay, nice move. Rook b6, take advantage of the pin, deliver the goods. with that game finishing, we only have one game left in the round. And as we come to it, Super Naor takes down Pedro Martinez, who I think is streaming or is a streamer. Pedro Martinez is maybe just a regular name that I often see and kind of think that. But here we go. Talk about a marquee matchup. Two players on 5 of 5. Anish on YouTube versus Daniil Dubov. This will be an exciting one. Watch out for this one to have like some theory, right? Because these guys are playing for, $1,000 is not a small amount of cash over a couple hours of work. It's nice to take $1,000, but also nobody guaranteed spots in the main SCC, probably besides Hikaru Nakamura, given that he is the reigning champion. But otherwise, these games matter. So these guys are playing their Italian. Look at this. This is theory you see at the high levels. Flexible approach here from Dubov. Bishop b3 is going to keep the bishop and go for d4, right? Do you back up and go for it? These lines are so interesting because there's so many options, which is why you've seen the Italian have such a resurgence at the high levels. We talk about that a lot when we cover top events, and I guess the last time we did so was the candidates, which is, God, it seems like a lifetime ago, doesn't it, for all of us? Back in March, we were covering the FIDE candidates and haven't had an over-the-board chess event really since then, right? Since that event was postponed midway through. The flexible nature of the pawn structure for both sides just allows you to outplay your opponent, allows you to outprepare them, right? Because you can find subtle nuances that don't seem like much, and then over time, just a small placement of how you liked the bishop, on the f-file when you played f5 later on with a knight e7, remove the knight, punch the pawn. That's one idea for black. There's other ideas, right? I mean, white's got the similar sort of flexibility. Can I go for a traditional Lopez, like knight f5? Do I expand on the king side? Do I slowly try to change the structure and punch d4 through? Now you've got the doubled pawns, but a very good double pawn conglomerate. Can I say conglomerate? That's still PG, right? Yeah. Knight h4, you're going to double on the f-file here. Maybe you're sacking on f6. Yeah. Anish says, no, thank you. Not going to let you take my knight. I back this thing up. But I like the way that Dubov is playing this. White just kind of slowly gaining that edge. I really didn't like bishop takes e3, and I know I'm not, qualified to criticize Italian preparation of the world's most elite, but something about bishop takes e3, I don't know, just felt like black was caving in on what white wants in these positions. And the fact that he's also up on time, yeah, means I feel like he does have a slightly more comfortable position. Okay, yeah, this feels good. This feels good for Dubov. Anish giving us that grimace right there. He's not super thrilled with his position, it's clear. They have the lights off there because Sopako, it allows her to kind of watch over his shoulder there, right, without being on camera, watching and judging. I'm just going to continue to make up things that are staring at me in the dark. I'm still afraid of the dark, by the way. Okay, rook f3. Interesting, rather than queen g4. He wants to put the knight on f5 and clear the g3 square for the rook and then create a battery. Interesting. So Anish says, no, I'm going to stop you from putting a knight on f5. g6. But these positions are just super tough for black because as we get under time scramble, white is in control over all the pressure points. Like, black can't do anything. Can't play g5, f5. You can't ever play f5. You just have too much, right? The plan is what? b5, b4, so that white can play c4 and lock it up. This is a really tough position for Anish. In fact, Dubov just plays c4 right away just to really make sure that I'm not worried about any sort of changing of the structure and I can focus on this side of the board. Knight f3, what's his plan? He's got a new square for the pony. He likes g4 because now that f6 is weak, when you play g6, relocating the knight to a square like this is going to be super problems on the f-file. I love the way that Dubov plays these. And yeah, we've got... Seriously, you're scaring me. Let's go away. Send Samara back to the well, please. Send Samara back to the well. Nobody share a clip of this video because then your friends will have to share it or they die in 7 days. Oh, talking about a movie that left a mark. Okay. H4, H5 is coming. Dubov is super good in these positions. Now, Anish is one of the world's elite too, right? So it's not, no, there are zero foregone conclusions. That's not the point. But white is really in control of the direction here. The only thing I don't like about the advance is, as much as it optically looks even uglier for black, now I have a harder time finding a plan for white. I want my knight on g4 hitting f6. I want, how am I breaking through this, right? And you notice that black is kind of hanging around. It's like, I actually don't think he chose the right plan. I think my initial instincts on knight f3 with this plan should have been where he focused. I thought that was his goal, but hard for me to see where white presses this advantage now. And the fact that Giri has played the bad position and played so quickly is what makes him good, right? Look at the time, right? He's been in a worse position for how long now? But he's up on the clock, and it's not really any better for Daniil Dubov than it was earlier. So, okay. By the way, so many of the big games also going on. Fabiano Caruana looks like he's about to move to 6 of 6 and be the clear tournament leader. Fabiano is one of the only world's elite who hasn't made it to a knockout bracket yet since the new Grand Prix launched. Look at D5. Giri striking back. Hikaru Nakamura also looks like he's on pace, I think, to strike back and continue to stay pace, despite the fact that he dropped one earlier, just like Maxime Vachier-Lagrave did. I like how Giri played this, and again, the clock is what gives him the edge. Position is roughly equal now, and oh yeah, I like e4. Time to open up the king with only 20 seconds. You free up the d5 square for your knight. e3 is weak. Boom. Anish putting on a clinic of how to play worse positions, because it's not that he did anything genius, but he played quickly, right? And he understood that there really wasn't a lot to do besides buckle down. Fabiano Caruana has just drawn his game indeed, so he will not be on 6 of 6. We see one person there, Exotic Princess, Bador Jabava. The man who beat Hikaru Nakamura is currently undefeated, and Anish Giri might be on pace to join him. A date with Destiny, a battle with Jabava could be ahead, because I think Anish is about to take this one home. Queen takes e3 is unstoppable. Golf clap for Giri, seriously. He played this super well, given how worse the position was for black. I think Dubov missed the thread when he went for the pawn storm instead of the knight relocation. What is going on here? Why didn't white just take with check first? Rook d7, look at, he's trying to fork him. If you take, we shake and bake. The problem is it doesn't matter. You're still just losing a piece. And in the end, Giri is going to take it home. Okay. Whatever moves he's playing at this point, he's got only 1 second, meaning white only does, so it's not going to matter hugely for Anish Giri. But a huge victory for Giri to move to 6 of 6. And he's about to do so. Indeed, he does. Okay, let's back this thing up and head over. Let's go check him on Hikaru's games. As I said, I think he's in a good spot. He was up way on the clock. Oh, but he's actually, I saw the pawns, but the extra knight is a problem for black. Sorry, for white, right? So will Hikaru find a way to swindle this in the time pressure? It's something he does well. White shouldn't lose this. So that's the advantage Hikaru has, right? The rook and knight are just not the dynamic duo. Oh, wow. And black bails out. That's irritating for Hikaru because he wanted to win. And that guy just, by giving up the knight, he pretty much forced the draw. Yeah. So that's irritating. It's going to be a rook-ending draw now without really a lot of opportunities to swindle anything. So let's back up and head over to Peter Svidler's game. Peter Svidler is on the white side of this rook and bishop endgame. If he defends this, that would be the clinic. Right as I say that, I think he's about to get mated on a1. And indeed, he resigns. Was it actually mate right away? This is one of those positions that's instructive. It is. Let me show the instructive ending. So the point is the threat is rook a1, right? The only way to deal with that checkmate is to play rook b7. Because if you run the king, it's mate. So you play rook to b7. But now, I'm pretty sure you switch. And the bishop is guarding and threatening checkmate. You flip the script. Blocking with the rook doesn't work because the rook isn't protected by the king. So your only way to avoid mate on rook h6 is to run. And now you have a very common and instructive trick that works precisely because the rook had just gone to b7. So seriously, if you want to add a little mini combination that is a theoretical one in rook and bishop versus rook, this is a very nice example of good technique where the only move that saves mate loses by force to a flipping of the rook to the other side. Only way to deal with mate is to run, but now the rook has put itself on a skewerable. Skewerable is PG, right? On a skewerable, say skewerable 5 times. Skewerable, a skewerable position. The rook has put itself on a skewerable position. Man. Skew that. All right, so there you go. Instructive and a nice little finish there. Peter's Fiddler goes down, unfortunately for the fans, but it was indeed skewerable. Skewerable was also a weird nickname I had in middle school, in fact, not high school. Skewerable, the middle game. We've got Alex Shimonov, hero of the Pro Chess League for multiple teams he's played for. Chicago, the Webster Windmills. Shimonov, one of the higher performers. Going to try to win a rook and knight versus rook. He shouldn't, but we'll watch it, just in case he can. He's got rook and knight versus rook, and stranger things have happened. We've got just flipping, just checking out what's going on here, everybody. Checking in with our team. It's skewerable. Don't misspell it. Yeah, this is not a skewerable position, and so will likely end in a draw. This is round 6. So when we come to an end here, we've got a few people there on top. Tigra, Borscht 7, Biradon. I'm reading it from afar. Anish on YouTube. That's Anish Giri, obviously. Exotic Princess is Badur Jabava. Fabiana Caruana on 5.5 out of 6. The top player on 5.5 out of 6. So many big names. Look at Penguin GM there. Andrew Tang. Penguin GM 1 on 5.5 out of 6. Shout out to him. Ariantari also streaming. So we've still got a few of the big name streamers in the game to be the big names atop the standings. Wait a second. Rook A5. He just missed a trick? No, but he's getting closer. Now the king needs to run. Yeah, I think white's still fine. I wonder what happened there, that the eval bar swung wildly. I wonder if there was a blunder for white or a... Oh, look at that little stalemate. Rook D5. Booyah. I love it. Forcing the stalemate. Shout out to Dynamo 8-1. That's a heads-up play. Something to take note of. Whenever the rook and knight are in this position, the king is actually stalemated, right? There are no legal squares for the king to go to. So heads-up play, the easiest way to draw is this renegade rook idea. And that's exactly what Dynamo 8-1 did there. So kind of a fun little ending there. We've got an... excuse me. Back to Anish Giri here on 6 of 6. We've got some other people streaming. Let's go check out Ariantari and see his stream. We haven't checked in on him with him on camera in a little bit. He's still among the leaders there with 5.5 out of 6. And here we go. The next round is underway. Ariantari taking on Demetrion Draken. One of the few players who has won one of our Grand Prix events, right? Remember that on June 2nd, we kicked off the Speed Chess, the 2020 Speed Chess season, if you will, right? Kind of really a lot more involving what has been the most exciting knockout in online chess for a very long time, the SCC. But opening the door, kind of combining some of the exciting events we had going all into one kind of annual storyline and opportunity for players to qualify themselves into the $100,000 main event. So since we've done that, Demetrion Draken has been one of the most consistent performers. He's among the leaders in the season. He's won one of the events. And here he's got the white pieces versus the man on camera, Ariantari. Weird position. What was this? It was a 4 knights. Not exactly on Draken's pet line. On Draken, known as a London system player. A very dangerous one, too. knows his position super well. But here, branching out, this was an e4 game, not a London. Arian is in fine shape with the bishop pair as black. You have choices. You can put the bishop voluntarily to g6 and try to poke at e4, but probably an improvement of the bishop on e7 is in order. Knight to c3, sorry, knight e2 from c3 does attack e5, so you have to deal with that. And I suggest bishop c5 because it seems like a logical improvement. It unleashes the rook. Indeed, he does it. Okay. Play and guess the move. You can also play Guess the Move over at Chess.com if you didn't know that. Follow the games live. If one of our moderators could share a helpful link over to the Chess.com chat, they can directly follow. Knight g3, bishop g6. Now, what's the plan for white? You're bringing everybody to f5, but then what? I guess you could put the knight on g first. So now this is a nice move by Arian because you force the queen to make a decision. If you let white just have all the cards there, white would have brought the knight, the queen over, probably unpinned the f-pawn, right? And then played for f4. So for those who maybe play these positions or looking to get better when you watch these shows, that's an instructive idea to keep in mind, right? The relocation of your pieces to this side of the board and then change the structure to get everybody, to get the party started together. But Arian didn't allow it, right? You're trying to create some disruption so that white doesn't get ideal setups. But you're starting to get a feel that Arian isn't as comfortable in the position just based on time management, right? Based on those two birds looking over his shoulder. What is that? A parakeet and a... What is that? It looks like a wild kind of... I have watched the movie Rio a few times with my daughter. She's really into the colors and the brightness of the birds. Rio. Cartoon. But I don't know my birds. Who am I kidding? Anyway. All right, the bishop has to settle on f8, which is future defensive, right? It's prophylactic in nature, but it also removes the bishop from the active square that was currently preventing f4. So at some point, what you'll see is what's going to happen here in the dynamic. Is white going to find a way to start punching things through, and all of a sudden everybody that didn't seem like they were working together is working together on the king side. I like the idea of still bringing this knight and maybe relocating the queen if need be. Yeah, he does it. On Draken, doing what he does, often maintaining 3,000, as he does on Chess.com. Knight to c5 is fine, but again, and I don't, have any move suggestions in front of me. Like you, I see the evaluation bar of the computer as sort of a guide to how the computer thinks, but translating that into actionable good moves is a totally different thing. And I would play as a human plan. I like the queen there, but I want to get the pieces involved. Well, he takes it. What's he going to do with the knight? He's going to come back to e3 and then g4, so he's got a new idea. But was that really the best? He settles on his pressure there to make a trade. I don't know that that really improved white's position much. The biggest advantage for Draken is clear on the clock, right? It's a big game for Arian. I mean, I don't know offhand if Arian has qualified yet for one of the knockout brackets since we, here in the SCC Grand Prix, but this is a big game for him, right? If you look at the standings to the left, he's 5.5 out of 6. He's currently number 12, right? So this is a useful place to focus on. Again, we've had Anish Giri getting a lot of coverage today, partly because he's one of the world's elite who's been doing well and streaming. He's up on the clock against Borsch 7. We'll check on that in a second. But right now we're on Ariantari. Go to twitch.tv/Ariantari and give him a follow. Ooh, what's going on? If you take, there's rook takes d6, and then rook takes and queen e8. Nice little trick from Draken. Knight to d4, but you can just trade on d8 if you want. You can also play queen d5, I think. But the real issue here is what's going to happen at the end of this massive set of exchanges, right? Just a draw, or does one side have any more? Nope, queen e5 allows knight e2 check, but the knight does guard the queen, so no queens being lost. He just takes with the queen so that he can keep his options open, like winning the b3 pawn or e4, choosing, or rook d. Is he going to go rook d1? Okay, no, smartly doesn't. If the king was on h1 though, you might have seen rook d1 because there's a mating net. But Arian plays rook b8. The problem is he's down 2 pawns, and you can't take both at the same time, right? I mean, I know it's weak, but I think this is going to be tough for Tari. Only 3 seconds, as we know, though he looks very calm and collected. He's shaking his head now. Fabiano Caruana is in fantastic shape. He just won, upsetting one of the players who was previously on 6 of 6. Now Fabiano at 6.5 out of 7. So definitely white is in control here. The extra B pawn stands, and if the queens come off, this is definitely an endgame that white can win. B4, I think. I think you can just do it. What's he got? He's doubling up on the knight. He's going to go for a mating net on the king. Wow, and he just wins based on the pressure. Tari can't deal with it. Shakes his head. Not enough time on the clock. But wow. Wow, okay, a huge win for Draken. Ariantari likely, just knowing how tough the field is, that might cost him his chances to qualify. Anish Giri drew his game. Let's go check on Hikaru Nakamura, who, continues to just have a rough day. So probably won't get a lot of focus here. Hikaru just down a rook, so just not Hikaru's best day today. What the heck? What the heck? Oh my gosh! What the freaking heck? Oh my god, if I could curse, I would. Oh, I wish I had Hikaru on camera there. What just happened? I'm as shocked as you are, bro. What was Baikovsky doing? Hikaru giving the people the energy. Yeah, don't say anything. See how long you can just tell us what you're thinking with the eye. What in the world just happened there? Oh my god. You guys, this position is just up a rook for black. The game is over. Anything wins here. Anything. Anything. And the guy goes here. But I know Baikovsky. He works as he's a good guy. I actually played him many times when I was a real chess player. Shout out to the Spice Cup program, the Spice program back when it was in Lubbock, Texas. And Texas Tech. And then here he makes another blunder. He could have just gotten a draw if both sides get a queen. But he tries to stop it and then loses. Absolutely unbelievable that Hikaru won that game and may have just saved his chances. Holy bejesus snaps. That is absolutely hilarious. I don't think it was a mouse slip. I think it was just like a crazy miscalculation. People saying in chat that maybe it was a mouse slip. I don't think so. I mean, I'm not watching. I don't even think Baikovsky does stream, so I don't know for sure. But wow. Okay. Well, what other games do we still have going in round 7 before we take our next fair play break? It looks like they're all coming to an end here. Again, we are always working hard behind the scenes, and we'll remind you of the full team and what they're doing before our next break. But this is the last game still going. I am just shocked by that. I'm absolutely blown away by that. That Hikaru won that game. Hilarious. But the standings on the left still see the players that got most of our attention that round amongst the leaders. You've got Draken, Caruana, Anish on YouTube, Anish Giri, Penguin GN. Maybe we'll get a live look into Andrew Tang in the next round. We know that he's often streaming. A lot of big names, household names that you know and love, or at least know anyway, right? And we got plenty more ahead. So as we send it to break, let's actually remind you what the team is doing, how big the team is, and what we're doing behind the scenes. So again, we're gonna probably make a note here. We almost need to update these graphics. If anything, we've invested further since we really started making more of a proactive effort to give people insight into what we're doing. We're actually at 11 full-time team members now, working on fair play and all the game and data science that goes into that. During these events, we're also doing real-time checks, and this is incredibly important because we are randomly and sometimes with potential cause that we believe grabbing people to share not only their screens so we can see mouse activity, we can track programs. We also we check Task Manager if you didn't know that. So we're always checking that. Of course, we also have people on camera scanning the room. Of course, most of the DNA analysis that goes into is designed to remove the murder weapon, meaning we can know if someone's cheating, whether they're using a different device or not. We're not just checking Task Manager, but it is part of it. And of course, we're also constantly improving our methods researching and learning from what other esports proctoring services do so that we can improve ours. So there's just a lot that goes into it. And again, yes, partly people would love to say, yeah, prove it by telling us more of who you're closing. Well, we don't announce those names publicly out of respect and an opportunity to allow people to learn that we are doing it. But I can tell you we are closing and getting confessions from title players that would shock you as far as big names in the game. So when we come back, we will get set and set the tone for round 8 as we get into the final set of games here in the Swiss to figure out who's going to be in the knockout on today's July 14th SCC Grand Prix. We'll be back in just a minute. And right on cue, a comment from our YouTube chat. Shout out to YouTube Games channel says he's using Dr. Wolf, right? A lot of people are. Our SCC Grand Prix, now brought to you by your friendly personal chess coach. The answer to this question is pretty obvious. Have you ever wanted to have your own virtual chess assistant, chess coach? Dr. Wolf gives you real-time feedback. The analysis and insights you get are not only super personal, surprisingly so, but also provide a path and pattern so that you can continue to improve over time while using the app. It's available for download on both iOS and Android for free. for free. And check it out today. You know what isn't for free? Winning the SCC Grand Prix. It takes work. And Fabiano Caruana is attempting to do work today as the next round gets underway. Here we see his battle with Borscht 7. We've also got, as we've been following, Anish Giri on YouTube, now in a game against Alexander Grishuk. Lots of games to be looking at here. Apparently, Andrew Tang is not streaming. The Penguin GM normally is. Maybe that's why Andrew's doing so well. Maybe he needs to think about, I don't know. Maybe he, obviously we know he's a super talented guy. So maybe he's enjoying the lack of commentary while playing. Who knows? But there you have the standings. We're getting set here, guys. We are moving into the final rounds where all of these guys are literally fighting for their life. Demetrion Draken, one of the season leaders right there. Fabiano Caruana, a big name. Anish Giri. Exotic Princess is Bador Jababa, for those of you who don't know the username. He beat Hikaru Nakamura earlier in the event, which is probably one of the only reasons we don't see Hikaru as among the leaders. I think the game to focus on probably right here, Anish Giri and Alexander Grishuk. I mean, this is two of the biggest players in the world, two players that have both competed in the Speed Chess Championship, the main event. Alexander Grishuk, one of the only few who's played every single year. Anish Giri was actually not in the original, the inaugural Speed Chess Championship was actually the Grandmaster Blitz battles long ago. It was only 8 players, and Anish Giri actually didn't get an invite to our very first one, but he's played in all of them since then. Anyway, so this is a big one, and I think maybe making or breaking which one of these guys qualifies for the knockout. So what do we got right here? By the way, we also have Grandmaster Robert has taken on Ariantari for those who want to check that out. If anyone moderating our chats would be so kind to share a direct link to follow the games in the live server, that would be greatly appreciated, so that people can go check out so many big names, so many big games. Hikaru is taking on Pavel Elyanov, right? That's a huge one, so check them out. We will do our best to bounce around as we can. Okay, so what's going on here? Anish, a little better, I guess, from a space perspective, right? These are our Nimzovich 2 muscles we gave us. Just don't tell Yasser Serewan I have mentioned Nimzovich in a positive light. But white has a little bit more space, right? Space is, by definition, the squares available to your pieces behind your furthest advanced pawn. So if you've never heard the exact definition, that's what space is. Space is the squares available to your pieces behind your furthest advanced pawns. So in this case, white has a little more space. Now it's equaled out, but maybe at a cost, right? The double pawns for black, right? White does have the potential light squares here, and if you could relocate your pieces, I suggest that maybe, okay, it's a move to think about. Knight g3 is a candidate move. Rook e1 is a candidate move. Taking f6 and then queen in is a candidate move. Or f4. Anish highlighting that if he splits the board, if he opens the board, who's going to be left out of the action? It's a very nice move because look, the rook on a3 is not the same as the rook on a6. They look the same, they're not the same. This rook can quickly switch to the king side in a moment's notice. f4 was a nice move. That was a full board recognition. Anish is not holding back. And can we just give a shout out to Giri overall, not just for launching his YouTube channel, played incredibly well. In the recent online event. I'm actually forgetting the name, and that's not a joke. I'm not secretly hiding anything. I know it was on Chess.24. I literally am forgetting the name. There's a lot of events going on. Not the Lindoris Abbey, but one of the events, Anish just did really well, and he's been playing very strong chess. So shout out to Giri. I don't think he's holding back at all. White's just in a great spot here. You're now up a pawn. You can move the rook and then push. No? G3 was a weird move. I would have put the rook behind the pawn and gone for the gusto. Yeah, Diamond member Dalman J saying Anish Giri playing great these days in his blitz games. Indeed, right? Made it all the way to the final against Magnus in that event. I think he lost the thread a little bit there. Like, this is not as good as it was earlier. And Grishuk, to his credit, like many of the world's best, when he's worse, he doesn't usually go wait on the clock with it. So he's, at least not in short time controls. Long time controls, Grishuk loves himself the time pressure, lives on the edge. But he's a former World Blitz champion for a reason. Okay. The chat is active on all the sites. Just want to give a shout out to everyone who's with us. Chess TV, YouTube, Twitch, everywhere. There it is, the Chessable Masters. That was the event. Thank you, Mr. Fox120. Anyway, great events going on all around, and we know you're loving it as chess fans, and Anish has been playing well. That was the point. So, Bishop F5. Looks like a good move. Maybe. I wonder if he just wants to keep the tension or find a way to switch to the A file, but don't blunder, right? You could play Queen A2. So he plays Bishop G6. What's the plan? The Queen moves to F6. Why is the tempo valuable? What's he going to do? Queen moves and then play Bishop F5 because you've opened up the E8 square? Yeah, okay. That's the idea, I guess. Because now you have Rook E8 at a moment's notice. I'm learning too. I'm like all of you. I'm just trying to guess these moves and trying to get better. I'm just here. I'm just here to protect my daughter, all right? I'm trying to find a transformer. Say hi to your mother for me. B5. Grishik is living on the edge here, man. I mean, there's Rook E8, King F7, then Rook E6. Okay, Giri's going to try to lead the way with the lady. He's leaned in. Look at that focused. Look at that focused Giri. You got to love it. By the way, he's threatening Queen E8, which now wins the Rook, so watch out. Okay, you can give check, I think, and then bring the Rook in. Interesting, G4. Sitting tight on it, but are you actually going to play G5? Seems a little risky to keep opening up the king. You could probably just check trade queens and go for D6. And, okay, he does Queen E6, but that was my point. I thought he would check and go Rook D6, but this offers the Rook to go immediately to D6. My point is, I think that Giri's just in control of the position, and he could just take. I don't think there's any threats here, right? It's optically a little scary when the Emperor has no close, right? You got to be careful of all kinds of counter shots and perpetual checks, but I think White is in good shape. Okay, this is exactly what you worry about. Now with only 16 seconds, Giri is leaning in. He's giving up the G4 pawn. This is why Grishik does things that you're not supposed to do. Uncle Sasha. He just held that. Wow. What a swindle. What a finish there. Craziness. So many big games this round. I'll give you a breakdown of the results that we missed. You can already see some of the standings being updated so you can gather your own conclusions on what those results were. But Fabiano Caruana not done yet. Peter Svidler not done yet. Crazy stuff. Okay. Okay, who's going to be better now? I mean, it's a draw because it's Rook and Bishop versus Rook, but with the... Wait, oh, no, never mind. I thought it was black to move there. I got to calm down. I thought it was a Rook hang. Oh my gosh. Okay, these guys are probably going to draw. Fabiano, by the way, gets the dub and takes the clear lead along with Demetrion Draken, who already won. So look at that. 2 guys on 7.5 out of 8. Clearly destined for a game here. A battle will be ensuing. And Anish has turned this one around, right? Now with Grishik living with only a few seconds on the clock, maybe Giri can get the win. Switches the Rook to the other side. Bishop D6, and then you're threatening things like king in because the bishop guards the pawn. There you go, Anish. You almost lost on time, bro. Play quickly. King E6, and it's mate. Bishop E5, and you can't stop Rook H8. Oh my gosh. Anish Giri has come to play today. Apparently streaming on YouTube is better for his chess. I've been trying to get him to stream along with many others for a long time, so I'd like to take credit for Anish Giri's career turning around. I think he'd give that to me too. Can you guys go over to Anish's chat and say Danny's taking credit for your career turning around because you're finally doing what he said, which is to stream? Please, someone go say that. Danny's taking credit for your career turning around because you're finally doing what he told you to do, which is stream. All right, I think that's fair. Let's do a quick flashing of the other games. Hikaru Nakamura defeated Pavel Elyanov. Looks like it was a sweet, sassy, molassy finish with mates and bishops falling. Hikaru wins. Grandmaster Robert Hess, let's go! Beats Ariantari. What? And he mates him on F8. What happened, Tari? The king went for a walk on the wild side, right? And apparently bit off more than he can chew, just like walked his own king into a mating net. Hilarious. Hilarious. Okay, well, shout out to our boy Robert Hess, but the biggest win in the round might actually just be Fabiano Caruana, right? Getting the victory. He maintains pace along with Demetrion Draken and Anish Giri. Could today be the day that Fabiano Caruana finally qualifies into the knockout bracket? He has missed the knockout, and he's played almost all 5 events in the 2020 SCC season so far. I think he's played at least 4. So Fabiano has not quite broken through yet to make it into the knockout. Maybe today is the day. As we look at those standings, though, you see a lot of players still keeping pace on 7 out of 8. Parham Magsudlu is one of the overall season leaders who hasn't given up on his opportunity to qualify. Okay, but there's nowhere else to go, clearly, right? Sometimes the event tells you where to continue to cover. Obviously, we started off giving some love to Anish Giri as one of the top streamers, as we do with all of them. You got Hikaru, you got Vida Gujarati, you had all those. But as the event has gone on, Anish Giri is performing fantastically, and now he has to play the black pieces against Fabiano Caruana. So this is where we're likely going to focus. Exotic Princess on 7 out of 8. That's Badur Jababa, excuse me. The tongue twister can sometimes be real here when you've been talking for a long time. And here we go. It's more theory. More theory for these guys. They take these things seriously. These is, I don't know if it's their home level, home cooking to candidates level prep, but they're playing mainline weapons where they're looking to squeeze advantages. And I think at this stage in like the evolution of where we've come, online chess has too much on the line, first of all, for you to not play your real chess. So that's what I say to the critics who are like, it's not real chess. Like, I don't know what you're really watching then, because chess is one of the few things that is the same 3D as it is 2D. You're not actually LeBron James in NBA 2K, bro, nor are you a wizard casting spells. But you're still a strong chess player, whether it's online or over the board. It's the same game. So one, there's too much at stake for them to not try to win. There's too much money on the line. And secondly, I think online chess is used as training, much more than people give it credit for. So again, I mean, it's just, the reality is that the things have evolved, and the game of kings is the oldest game in the world, 600 AD, but it's now also one of the most popular games in the online streaming community. Okay. Apparently, just so you guys know, there's a fire inspector at our studio here. Apparently, it's a required check, and he's going to peek in the room in a second and say, what's going on with this, right? Seems like you guys are doing some illegal stuff. I see green screens. I see lights. There's handcuffs in the basket. What are you doing in here? Just kidding. There's no handcuffs. All right. So, we got. If you see a fire inspector on camera in a minute, just say I told you so. All right. And maybe he wants in on that party, if you know what I'm talking about. All right. Okay, we've got Fabiano. Let's get Anish Giri back on camera because this is the place to focus. Anish Giri, Fabiano Caruana, probably deciding who wins the initial leg here. If that's, I mean, at least as far as how these guys have been playing, right? Of course, Demetrion Draken, who, by the way, has a tough opponent himself. We'll keep Anish on camera. I'm just going to flash the position. On Draken taking on Daniil Dubov. So this is a big one as well on Draken in a tough spot right now versus Black. So, okay, the tournament leaders are there. There's so many other big names. Again, if you search the chess category on Twitch, you will find them. And these days, I can say you can search the chess category on YouTube and find streamers there as well. So, knight to d6. Interesting move. The threat, everybody, is knight takes b5 because the pawn is pinned. No, it's not. Yes, it is. I was right. Queen c7, knight c7, bishop takes b7. At the end, white actually does win a pawn. So knight d6 has a threat. Knight takes b5. Bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes. You run into things like e4. The pony gets kicked. And then what happens with the discovery? Whoa, no, there's bishop a5 first. Even better. If the queen moves, you take d6, and the queen can't capture because then e4 wins a piece. That's a pinned pony. Put PP on the PP. Put pressure on the pinned pony. Did you know that? Yeah, do the math. I said the appropriate amount of P's. PP on the PP. And that's going to be the problem, right? Is you can't do it because we got pressure on the pinned pony. I think, okay, now we've got that position on the board. I think Fabiano is going to be really making Giri earn his salt here. Giri now already under a minute. Clearly in the worst position here is Black. I know the computer says, no, Dan, you're wrong. It's 50-50. I don't care what it says. The eval imbalance, maybe computers can play it, but it's exactly why. Like, any move Black plays here just makes White's position better. So hard to play these positions. e5. Here comes queen c5. You just got this pawn. You've got the pressure. How do you break through if you're Fabiano, though? Anish leans back. Whew. We'll do it together. Whew. Whew. Sleeves up, man. a7's falling. but then b3 falls. Anish playing quickly, definitely worse. He's definitely worse, but he's playing quickly. Diamond member Dalman J says it's a draw in the Chess TV chat. No, in the main chess game chat. It is not a draw. It might be a draw. I don't know. LOL. A6. Now F4. F4. I'm not sure why I'm singing it. But F4 opens the door to G7. Okay, H4, H5, then F4. Ooh. Fabi is so good at these positions. These are the kind of positions that Hikaru is confident on. Like, it's like accuracy on a very ruthless calculation way, but he's just so good at being precise. Like, I would have played F4 prematurely, right? H4 threatened King H2 and Bishop H3, so it kind of forced Anish to come back with the knight to stop it, but now he neglected the B6 square, so Fabi immediately filled it, right? If you do the, again, that's what just happened. The storyline was this was a threat. Anish tries to stop it with a fork, but gives up B6 in the process. And Fabi is just squeezing the whole board here with Anish struggling under the clock. It's just super difficult to continue to play these positions. Fabi playing 5-head chess right now, and we might get Fabi on camera if he qualifies for the first time in the SCC Grand Prix for the knockout. And we'll see the big head. He's got a big fro. We love Fabi's hairdo. Let's just say it. We do. 5-head Fabi. That might legit be a good nickname for Fabi. Okay. Anish is defended again, though. Apparently I'm wrong. I was gone last week. Personal stuff. Apparently Fabi qualified last week, but lost in the first round. Okay, good. Not for the first time. Good. Thank you, chat. And producers behind the scenes. Appreciate that. Well, Fabi might be on pace to not only qualify, but win the knockout if he keeps playing like this. He's about to beat Anish Giri, who we have not seen lose on camera all day. And he's about to lose E5. Pretty good. Also, bishop takes F6 first, by the way. You have the C and the D pawn. But again, Fabi's going to be more patient than I ever would. Just going to sit on the position, make it hard. Now E5. Oh, E5 before the knight would have gone to D5, but he waited to play E5 for when you win because the knight was gone from F6. Doing work is Caruana. And that should be a huge surprise. So the other game we have to get over to. Let's back this thing up. Fabiano's going to beat Anish Giri, and we're gonna see the standings that reflect when they do. But Daniil Dubov is also about to beat the other tournament leader. So we are about to see a clear man in first. That's going to be Fabiano Caruana because both on Draken and Giri are going down this round. Daniil Dubov does a favor for his buddy Fabi, and is about to win this. So many other games still going. So many of the big results in the book. Peter Svidler loses to Steven Zerk. Hikaru Nakamura already won against Gautam Bailey. He's barely keeping pace. I don't think Hikaru has the day in him to requalify back in for the top 8 in terms of tie breaks. Maybe I'm wrong. Apparently, he's already at 7 out of 9. Wow, okay, so I don't understand tie breaks. Hikaru, after a really rough start, wow, wouldn't that be funny if Hikaru comes all the way back after losing early on in the event? Clearly not in his best form. I think even Hikaru would have said that earlier. But now he might be about to qualify with maybe our biggest names ever. Oh my God. Parham Magsudlo, Sergei Karyakin. We haven't even talked about Sergei today, but he's on play. So Daniil Dubov does get the victory. We're going to go back to Fabiano Caruana and Anish as they finish. Fabi is about to finish his opponent. Finish, Fabi. Finish. And we'll get a glimpse of Anish on camera as he loses his first game of the day. But he's still in shape, right? In a decent shape to qualify for the top 8. But wow, as you look at those standings, they're about to be reflected with Caruana leapfrogging, and it happens as I say it. Fabiano Caruana in clear first, Parham Magsudlo, Sergei Karyakin, Andrew Tang, Daniil Dubov, Demetrion Draken, Anish Giri, Hikaru Nakamura. If that ends up being the field, it can't be because they're all going to play each other now. And so we're about to get an epic round 10 here, everybody. This is going to be exciting because you're going to see some of the biggest names. I mean, you could see what are you going to see? I guess you'll see Caruana get one of the highest rated 8 out of 9 players, which may be Daniil Dubov or Sergei Karyakin. You've got Demetrion Draken just outside of it. He may get Anish Giri. We could get Anish Giri, Hikaru Nakamura here in a second. That would be a huge event. Wowzers, wowzers. And this has been exciting already, but given the big household names that are competing for our top 8 to move into our knockout bracket, this round 10 is going to be hype. So, and I know I don't say that mildly because I'm an awkward dad who, when I say hype, it's like when someone says, yeah, we're going to move on down to the old G6, yo. When Danny says hype, they go, stop it. The chat is lit, as the kids would say. Thank you for being here. Yep, we have corrected that. Fabiano did reach the knockout last week, and I said so a few minutes ago. So this would be his second time being in the knockout if he can hold on, which at this point it'd be hard to see Caruana not in the knockout. He could even draw if he wanted to. So anyway, it's been an awesome day, exciting stuff. Remind you that right after this, again, we do have the knockout coming up with the players on camera. Let's give some love to the last game still going, Artak Manukyan, the manager and founder of the Armenia Eagles, who have already qualified their way into the Pro Chess League finals. Stay tuned, because there is news coming very soon about the Pro Chess League finals. The final 4 teams already competed in the playoffs. Obviously, because of the world changing and turning on its head in the way that it did, there was a plan for a live final in Oslo, Norway. Shout out to our sponsors of that event, Oslo Fjord, who will still be involved in a potential 2021 live Pro Chess League finals at Chess Party. I'm not allowed to reveal all the details. Right now, our team is like, Danny, stop talking. The contracts are still in the works. But I will say we are going to have a 2020 Pro Chess League finals soon. It will be online, unfortunately, because of the state of the world. There will be no live final, but we will have the final 4 battling it out to determine the 2020 Pro Chess League champion at some point, maybe sooner than you think. So stay tuned. Exciting stuff. All right, we've got Fabiano Caruana versus Daniil Dubov. Speaking of exciting, you've got Indian Lad versus Hikaru Nakamura. Speaking of exciting, we've got Anish Giri, who drops and plays wonderful time, but that's not one of those getting low-rated opponents that you're happy about, honestly. Demetrion Draken taking on Oparian Grigori, who sneakily has had another fantastic event. One of the few winners overall, right? Oparian has actually won one of the Grand Prix in the 2020 season. So, wow, we have amazing games in this final round. Chat, where do you want me to focus? I assume Caruana versus Daniil Dubov, right? Caruana Dubov seems like the place to go. Not as fun as getting Hikaru on camera. So let's check on with Hikaru a little bit, because at least he's streaming, right? Not as fun sometimes to cover games when the guys aren't streaming. But we will probably give our focus to Fabiano Caruana and Daniil Dubov a little bit more as the game gets closer to finishing. Hikaru on the black side of a close Sicilian, where every strong player belongs. Don't play the close Sicilian as white. Just kidding. It actually can be very dangerous and very tricky to deal with, especially in rapid chess. But Hikaru knows what he's doing. I actually really like these early Rook B8 variations. They are a favorite of mine, championed by a lot of players in the late 90s, early 2000s, where black just basically goes all in on this queenside expansion and says, I don't even need to castle. You're developing this whole pawn storm, but my king isn't even over there, bro. Right? So that's black's idea here. All in on the queenside expansion. That's what Hikaru is all about. And he's pushing for the... look at that, right? You're all in to create open squares and open lines for your pieces. If you get A3, you're undermining B, which means you're undermining C, which means you're undermining D. And before you know it, we got a party, right? And why does root beer make you burp? Right? We're all here. Thank you, Jerry. Bishop A6 pins the D pawn, makes it a little trickier to expand. So Indian Lad says, yeah, I know. I'm going to put the rook on E1 so I can push. By the way, we made the right choice to focus on Fabiano on Hikaru Nakamura, because keeping him on camera, Fabiano Caruana and Daniil Dubov have already agreed on a draw. You can't really blame Fabiano for sure. It guarantees him playing in the knockout. Daniil Dubov has to be a little careful. He could be leapfrogged by some people in that 7.5 range, right? Look, he's got 8.5 out of 10. If those guys jump up, he may not have the best tiebreak. So that was a risky decision in some ways. Then again, you're playing Fabiano Caruana, you can't really hold it against Daniil either, right? So that's why the game is played. That's why we have a knockout stage, because there's multiple strategies going on here. It's more of a marathon, less of a sprint. So let's go back to Hikaru. We'll get him on camera here and let him play the black side of this closed Sicilian. Remember, Vidaguj also streaming. We'll keep Hikaru on camera just to give shout-outs to our remaining streamers. Last chance to follow their channels. Vidaguj, Peter Spidler also streaming. I don't know if Wonderful Time is streaming, but we know Anish is. Wonderful Time has streamed. That's International Master Min Lee from Vietnam, so possible. We're going to stay with Hikaru, as we said. Demetrion, Draken, and Oparin Grigori is the other huge Russian-on-Russian action going on this round, determining maybe somebody who has a chance to win and even tie Fabiano for first, that being on Draken. Oh, wait, no. No, that's right, because on Draken lost last round. All right, but Hikaru is in a great spot here. Again, this is why I tell you, don't play the close Sicilian against the best players in the world, because these systematic, just aggressive queenside approaches that Theory started it before the engines were what they are now, and the engines have only backed up these approaches, right? Where we can break chess principles on a minor level. And what I mean by that is you don't need to develop the king side and the king. Look at what Hikaru's going to do. He's going to flex on what the position naturally controls, which is the dark square diagonal and the potential for space. Everything black does here is about increasing pressure on the queen side first, thinking about the king side second. And only once he's done what he feels happy about does he get castled and get out of the way. And by that time, black is already breaking through over here, and where's white's checkmate attack, right? Black is already in fantastic shape, and apparently the engine says it's even better than I thought. Black is just doing great. Maybe B2's falling now. I don't know. Looks good to me. Hikaru, I mean, honestly, I think you could even take on H6, win B2, and you're not even worried about knight G5 because you have knight F8. Okay, so Hikaru takes with the bishop and calls white's bluff. White gives up the exchange, but there's no real attack here coming for Indian Lad, unfortunately, and I think Hikaru, despite a really rough start, is going to qualify his way into the knockout, much to the grimace of everybody in the event, because they know who the favorite likely is in those blitz and bullet battles if it comes down to tiebreakers. So huge props to Hikaru for keeping his head together, right? Not that he doesn't do it, but I mean, like, it's hard to lose early in these events. It's easy to get tilted, right? You just, not everyone rebounds. I mean, Maxime wasn't able to do it, right? Maxime lost his first game, MVL, Leon Beast, and he wasn't quite able to ever find his form after that. So it happens. Yeah, this game is honestly almost already over. If he just takes E1 and pushes the A pawn or Rook B1. Yeah, Hikaru plays Rook B1. Huge. We're probably going to head back to Anish Giri and Wonderful Time here in just a sec. If we can, we'll get ready to put Anish back on camera because that looks like a game that is much closer. Indeed, look at that. Hikaru Nakamura already wins. And we're back to covering Anish and his tricky position. Is he worse here against Wonderful Time? The computer says he's a little bit better, but I don't know. I mean, the knight coming in here, the rook coming down. I'm scared in time pressure to be on the white side of this. That's just me speaking my feelings. I'm allowed to express myself. I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. Yeah, here comes 94. Seriously, I'm a little worried about Anish's position. Time pressure is real as well. Time pressure is real as well. Gonna be tricky. Here comes A3 and B4. Anish needs to win this, doesn't he? I mean, yeah, look, he's dropped out of the standings. Anish has got to get the dub if he's going to qualify for the knockout. We're going to find out who the top 8 are in just a second, so don't go anywhere. We're going to find out whether I got some more iced coffee in my future, too. E4, B4. Okay, bishop B3 threatens C5 check. Anish is turning it around. Flexing his 2800 status over, albeit a blitz specialist in Wonderful Time, Min Lee. He's not a world elite chess player. That's just a fact. A world elite international master, maybe the strongest international master, but Anish is outplaying him here in the time scramble. You can move the bishop back, even A4. Okay, but e3. Anish got himself in huge trouble in one of these games earlier, did he not? Right, one of those weird endgames. And now look at what he's done. Anish is dropping pawns like flies. And the bishop and rook are uncoordinated. e2, push him, baby. What's going to happen? Anish bails out. This is not the worst decision because it probably guarantees he can't lose. But I don't know that he maintains winning chances. And I think Anish has to win. Yeah, he's not in a position to draw and get in the knockout. This is it. Anish is fighting for his knockout life, and I think he's going down. Super well played by Min Lee. And if you're one of the guys on the bubble, right, Jabava or Tang, you're just thrilled right now, right? You're thrilled that somehow Min Lee held this one. Heartbreaker for Anish, but yeah, and as I said, right, I said you can't blame the draw that Caruana and Daniil Dubov took earlier for Caruana, right? But look at what happened. Did I not call it? Guess who's on the outside looking in? Daniil Dubov, right? That's the thing, right? He took the draw, but there was no way it was a safe draw for him to qualify, right? Shout out to my boy Hess. The Hessgasm emote is real. Hess finishes in the top 20 with 8 out of 10. That's my boy. Yeah, it should be a draw, but only Min Lee can win. So unfortunately for Anish, his day will come to a close in the main portion. He will not be qualifying. And I don't think there's any other games going that can actually affect the standings. So I'm guessing that's going to be our 8 as you see him. I cannot wait to see Sergei Karyakin on camera. Can I just apologize to Sergei now that he had a fantastic day and I didn't cover a single one of his games? Guess what? I'm about to make that up to you, buddy, because you're in the knockout. But when you have a lot of other people in the world's elite, some of them streaming, sometimes you're going to miss some games, and he just missed the rook, and he hung on b2. And we are sliding down in our chair in humiliation. We are not happy with the final finish for Anish. Anish, I'm here. You can see my receding hairline. At least feel good about your healthy head of hair, because you have a better hairline than me. Okay. Back broken. Back broken, Anish. Unfortunately, buddy, sorry about the finish, but we are not finished, okay? We have got the knockout portion ahead. The most exciting aspect of the SCC Grand Prix remains. 8 players will be joining us on camera. We got Fabiano Caruana. We got Sergei Karyakin. We have Hikaru Nakamura. We have the biggest players in the game about to join us. The knockout starts in just a few minutes. We'll be right back. And we are back yet again. Thank you to everyone for your patience as we do our final fair play check. Make sure that everybody moving into the knockout not only has played a clean event, but that they are cooperative and willing to join us on camera and all the other security requirements we have. So it's an important reminder that regardless of the big names of the players and how strong they get, it's something that we put a lot of effort into and make sure that these events are kicked off and won by clean chess. Fabiano Caruana is the 1 seed, everybody. He has had the day, and even though, like I said, nobody really wanted to see that man Hikaru Nakamura make the knockout because of what they know he's capable of, when he had a tough day, the question was, would he rebound? Well, guess what? Now he gets to rebound against the guy that beat him. Bador Jabava, Exotic Princess, is the guy that put Hikaru in a tough spot and challenged him. The man came all the way back and qualified, so guess what our first round matchup is? Number 2 versus number 7. Nakamura Jabava. Of course, there's many others. Sanyan Segoria versus Demetrion Draken. We've got Guzman and Magsulu. This is going to be an awesome day. Let's remind everybody the format. The knockout format that is about to begin sets us with an 8-player knockout. 8 players qualified through the 10 rounds. We took our 10-minute break to ensure fair play, get everybody on camera. Now we get to see those faces of the world's elite. It starts out with a single game match. So it's winner go home, very, very crazy, very, very, very scary. Once you get to the semis and finals, you get a little more likely that probably the best chess player wins, right? Because you get those 2 games, dual opportunities to make sure you can flex if you are the better blitz player. But this first round is going to be nuts, especially when we're choosing between covering Caruana versus Karyakin and Nakamura Jabava. Can you hear how excited I am? I'm pumped. This is going to be awesome. Let's remind everybody of what's at stake. Obviously, the weekly prizes, $1,000 in cash and tons of Grand Prix points. But the whole idea is that this season, 20 events are qualifying people over the year 2020 to get into the Speed Chess Championship. The main event will be $100,000 in prizes for 16 of the world's best chess players. 4 will qualify over the SCC Grand Prix, which is why you see so many people playing, and it's so exciting. So again, the scoring system of those right now who made it into the knockout is pretty clear. You already get the points that you earned from the main event, whatever your score was, and now you will get bonus points depending on your performance in the knockout bracket. And speaking of points scored in the main event, another guy who didn't get enough love from his he's one of my favorite people. I think Robert would say I'm not one of his favorite people, at least on camera. But Robert, dude, way to go. He had a fantastic day. He finished 8 out of 10. We saw the ending of the game where Ariantari went on an ill-advised walk up to, the board to G7 and got mated. But Robert also got a huge dub in this last game versus Kirill Savchenko. It started with the very, very calm move, rook takes d1, in a position where you think, like, you have to do more forcing moves. You would love to have mate. When white is already down so much material, it's hard to play a move like this because you're still down the exchange. But Robert calmly recognizes he needed to get the material back. And after a6, watch everybody and their cousin flip to the king side, and the party is crazy. The bishop, the queen, you give check on c4. Here comes the knight. Note that capturing just doesn't work because then you'd have to block on f7 and rook f1 wins. So he tries to escape to f8 with the king. Robert gives a little tickle before ultimately playing another calm move that really this is the icing on the cake, rook f1. Just brings the rook back to the f-file because bishop takes c4 is met by knight takes e8. Double check. Actually, only a single check, but you have to take the knight because otherwise I win the queen. And then the bishop falls, and white's attack is just too strong with the king in the open board. It actually ended in checkmate, so we're going to see it all the way to the finish because after queen takes d6, Robert flexes. Way to go, boy. Robert Hess. Pog U, as they say. I think Pog U is a thing. Every time I see Pog U, I feel like someone's telling me off. Danny Wrench, Pog U. Like, Pog yourself. Anyway, just kidding. Out to Pog U University, because I'm cool too, here in the SCC Grand Prix. And we've got the best chess players in the world. Let's get a quick look into one of them getting ready. Sergei Karyakin, the man who challenged for the World Championship title in 2016 and almost did it again. One of the most underrated blitz chess players in the world. This guy is a monster, and it's partly because he has a very technical style. He's gotten all the way into the semifinals of the Speed Chess Championship. His style is so mistake-free, right? There are players you think of that are capable all the time of just the kind of brilliance that throws us off our seat, right? But his style is sometimes just ruthlessly accurate and technical. They call him the Minister of Defense for a reason because he very rarely loses lost positions. Sergei Karyakin is a guy that we're going to focus a lot on camera here because he didn't get the love he deserved in the initial outset. Plus, he's playing Fabiano Caruana in round 1. So it's literally upset the guy that won the 10-round Swiss, or you're going home, Sergei. Though it looks like he's already at home. A very, very well-designed... What is that? That's like a nice shelf. That's definitely not from IKEA. What is that? That's something... I don't know what that is. But it's about to start. We are about to lift off, so don't go anywhere. The Speed Chess Championship knockout portion, those are the 8 players who made it through the 10-round gauntlet to be here. And as we said, the 1 versus 8 matchup, Caruana versus Karyakin. It's going to be epic. Hikaru and Jabava, that's another one. I just want to watch them all. I want to watch them. I want to catch them all. I've gone full Pokemon. I want to watch them all here on Chess.com, and I can't watch them all because I'm one person. I wish I could time travel. I'd go back in time and watch games I missed in real time so I could have the real-time reaction. Some have accused Hikaru Nakamura of time traveling, like Hiro Nakamura from the show Heroes. Shout out to Jumping the Shark by constantly bringing people back from the dead, NBC. You can't ask your fans to be invested emotionally in your characters if you kill them and constantly bring them back. That's when a show jumps the shark, bro. You've heard it here. All right, we've got a reverse Shimonov Sicilian structure. White's going to go for d4 as he does. This is... Okay, it's just the start of a game. That's all it is, right? Roughly equal. I'll back up and show you the opening. For those who missed it, it was in English. Like I said, reverse Shimonov Sicilian. It's an open Sicilian structure. And the thing that's funny is you would think, isn't that just going to be good for White? It's not always the case, right? Because Black's goals are a little different out of the opening from an equality perspective. And, you know, Black is already kind of comfy and cozy. Position is close to equal. The tension on the E and D pawns will decide what happens from here. Fabiano voluntarily removing the knight, which is interesting because you're removing the threat of like e4 to kick the knight, and then maybe with the knight gone, we try to get active and aggressive over here with attacking stuff. So knight d2 is a voluntary retreat to avoid threats of e4, and maybe now he retreats to d3 too? That would be interesting, like bringing the pieces back. Yeah, what? Holding on to the center. Look at the hat, as XUC and Hikaru would say. Right, we got the hat. The bishop tucks behind the pawn structure, and the idea is the bishop is safe there. You naturally have diagonals that you can spy from behind the big center. But Black has c5, and rook e8 goes back for e4. So Karyakin is not giving up on the idea that e4 happens. The risk of it, though, is if e4 and you don't really have the heat to bring to the king side, you've made a weakness, right? And so then White can refocus on expanding the pawns here. Right now, pushing c4 is possible, but as long as there's tension, you're a little more careful about it. So, okay, b6 is played. It both protects the knight and supports c5 in a lot of positions. g3 is a weird move. There, I said it. Okay. How did Fabi have such a... I was expecting to see been locked up for 4 months pandemic Fabi. He's got a fresh-looking hairdo there. There's no Fabi Fro. That's Fabi Fresh. Fabi looking fresh and funky. Shout out to Fabi for the nice looking do there. Big haircut. Big haircut. All right. Queen to f6. Meeting g3. Is Fabi going for f4? You play like queen c2, rook e1. You build up, and at some point you push f4, which is the idea of g3. Okay, you have to always be careful about rook to e1 because you self-trap on f1. Okay, that's noted. Queen h5 is going to induce g6 and then head to e2, I'm guessing. Just back up. Yeah, he does. Okay, so Caruana is just trying to really patiently await for a pawn push to explode on. And that's the move you want, but it always comes with the double-edged idea that you're giving Black's pieces life. But look at everybody. Everyone's just building tension here. We're waiting for the structure to change, right? We're waiting on the world to change. I'm going to keep on waiting on that pawn structure to change. What were happening to the Black Eyed Peas, by the way? Wait, that wasn't... No, that was a John Mayer song. What was the Black Eyed Peas song with Justin Timberlake? Where is the love? That was the song I was thinking of. The love. The love. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm checking on Hikaru's game. I just threw my producer a curveball because I had to check. Hikaru in a much better spot here as white against Jabava. This is Hikaru getting revenge, homie. Right? This is Hikaru saying, "Whoa, is that a shirtless Jabava I see, or are you just happy to see me?" Jabava, you know this is a show, right? Am I the only one who's going like this on the camera, trying to look down? What is the world going on? Oh, man. Jabava gone shirtless. Jabava gone real. Wow. The show's about to get rated X real quick, and not just for me, walking the line of innuendo. Wow, Bishop G3. Hikaru, okay, jokes aside, is in a great position. A very tough spot for Badur Jabava with F7 under fire. And that would be the sweet revenge, right? Revenge best served cold for Hikaru after losing earlier if he can find a way to win this one. Again, all 4 of these games are going. Moderators, if you would, please share a link so that everyone can follow all the games in the chat directly on Chess.com, because we're choosing between amazingness and it's super hard to do so. So yeah. Okay, where's Hikaru at here? Where's Hikaru at? From the front to back. Yo, if you're feeling that, put one hand up. Can you repeat that? He's trying to get revenge on Jabava. Yo, where Hikaru's at? From the front to back. And if you're feeling that, whoa, put one hand up. Can you repeat that? He's trying to threaten Queen E4. He needs that. I got F7. All that I need, I can take with the knight. Going for speed. I'm going to bring the queen up. Going to mate on G7. I'm going to keep it going because I'm in heaven when I'm singing. And a bouncy bounce. No, just kidding. This is going to get back to serious chess show in just a second. Okay, Bob. Little bit awkward there. Hikaru, seriously, though, doing work. D4 falls, so that's the risk, right? You go for F7, but what's he going to do? He was going to take on G7 and maybe Bishop H4, so Knight F5 played instead. But now now Hikaru is just up the exchange. Whoa, I think Queen D1. No, Queen D1, Bishop takes C5. But then Queen G4 check and Rook D1. Yeah, Hikaru is... Queen E4 is the other move, right? But no, I was right. This was the better move because you invite it so that you get the check and you get the coordination. Dude, I just guessed Hikaru's move, bro. Now you just trade queens and it's easy peasy, beautiful cover, girl. He's just up the exchange in an endgame where B7 falls. Hikaru is flexing. Hikaru is going to move on to the next round. I did it. I called it. I'm not taking it back. Wow. What an event it's been for Nakamura to come all the way back. We're going to switch over. Just quickly flash. Actually, we'll quickly flash Parham Magsulu's game. He's taking on Christopher Guzman in this particular round. There's Parham on camera. There he is. There he is. What's up? You got Parham on camera in a better position as white, I believe so. Yeah. It's a little weird, though, right? Because if the queens came off, this position wouldn't necessarily be any better for white, right? I mean, Knight H6? What? Well, he's got at least a draw, if that's what he wanted. You can shake and bake from now until Kingdom Come if you're into that, but I assume Magsulu had other plans besides a draw, given that he was better. This will be a fun finish. By the way, Hikaru does get the win. Fabio Caruana beat Sergei Karyakin. I mean, poor Sergei. He got almost no attention from me. I planned on staying on him, and then I didn't. But Fabiano pushing forward in the knockout bracket. We might be destined for a Caruana versus Nakamura battle here today, ladies and gentlemen. I got a feeling that tonight's going to be a good night. Okay, Parham draws, so we leave them behind. We go to Sun and Sigoriev versus Demetrion Draken. Quickly, we have Dimitri on camera here. He is completely dead lost and about to resign. Okay, Bob, good talk. By the way, great haircut looking, Dimitri. Looking young. I like it. Oh, the king is stalemated? What? Oh, he's got Queen G3, though, and it's over. Wow. Okay, or even better. He could have played Queen G3, but now he can take, and the king gets out. That was a fun little trick there. Dimitri goes for the best he can, but Sigoriev sends him home. And we have our results in the book here for the first round. With only one draw, there will be one bullet battle, right? Remember the format. If we have draws, we move into a bullet tiebreaker where the higher seed gets white in the first game, just as they had white in the first Blitz game. So that's what's ahead here with Parham Magsudlu getting another chance. Maybe he just felt he was a better bullet player. Because if we bring up the board of that Magsudlu game, right? I mean, he was better here. There was no reason to do the sack and take the draw. He must have just evaluated that he feels like he's a much better bullet player than Guzman. And so he went for it. He might be right? We're going to find out, right? It's always risky when you're in a better position to not let the chess speak, and instead of like the abstract, meta stuff, the strategy stuff. So it's a little bit risky to take the meta approach of, hey, I just think I'm a better gamer when it comes to bullet, so I'm going to do it. It wasn't necessary, but he did it. And now we're going to have bullet any moment here between these two guys. Has it lifted off yet? Not yet. Make sure I'm following both of them. I think I was, so I wasn't. LOL, that's how I missed their game at the start. You can click on a username and follow it with one click on Chess.com. Yeah, I just saw that. That wasn't me being unprofessional. That was me giving you a feature tutorial. You can also click on usernames and report abuse, by the way. A lot of people are always like, how do I report a cheater? You just click on someone, click report. You can report them for any reason. That empowers you, the user, to let us know how you're feeling. Oh, man. We've got just a second, I think, before bullet begins. Let's do a shout out to our sponsor real quick. The Dr. Wolf app is available on iOS and Android. If you're not using it, that is officially a you problem, because it is real-time feedback and analysis from a virtual chess coach who is giving you not only the individual game advice, real-time advice that you can use for immediate feedback, but also develop patterns of advice over multiple games. Dr. Wolf learns you even more. He gets better at giving you advice. Why aren't you using Dr. Wolf? So, all right, here we go. We got Guzman. We got a lot of people in the game chat and the Chess TV chat. Diamond member Chess Guy rooting for Guzman. I think Hikaru is hanging out in the Chess.com chat now, watching and observing, waiting for his games to begin. Hikaru is still streaming. Okay, Magsudlu is just up a pawn. No, yes, he is. He's still going to be up a pawn, but this is going to be an obscure bishop ending up a pawn where, drawing chances exist inherently, but it's also super tough to be black, right? In bullet against Magsudlu, who's super fast, he can almost pre-move his way to victory in some ways. When everything protects itself and you're not worried about someone doing a pre-move trap, you can pre-move and just continue to look at the advantage on the clock. It's getting bigger and bigger. He's in a position where the point is, even if black had played a horrible move like rook b8 and you had pre-moved king e4, it wouldn't have been a losing pre-move because you were still protected. So when you get in a position where you can be that much faster than your opponent because you can pre-move and they can't, it's a huge advantage in bullet without increment. And I know this is crazy non-exactly chess strategy, but online chess is more popular than pretty much any other game in the world these days, right? I think I can say it. So online chess advice becomes very good advice. And this position is just a super tough one for Guzman. King g6 lands into bishop e4 and rook d3. Oh my god. Oh my god. Sitting in the dark. Black king going to be feeling a little verklempt here very soon. The rook comes back, and there's no way to deal with mate. I already called it, sister. All right, there you go. I called it. It's mate. Parham Magsudlu moves on with the interesting strategy to go for a draw, no less, in the initial blitz portion. And it turns out he was right. Parham Magsudlu says, hey, I'm the better bullet player over here, and I'm going to go for bullet, all right? And that's what I did, and I did it, and I won. And now we're going to take a very, very quick break, because when we return, we have the semifinals and finals of the Speed Chess Championship Grand Prix. Forget about it. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we are back. The semifinals and finals are up ahead here. The Speed Chess Championship Grand Prix held weekly on Chess.com on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. If somehow you're just tuning in, I doubt that. I think we've had a pretty organic, loyal following today. Thanks for being here. And the best is yet to come. We have Fabiano Caruana taking on Sanin Sigoriev in a 2-game match to start things off. And after that, we have Hikaru Nakamura, who lost early in the event to Bador Jababa, comes all the way back, gets into the knockout, and beats Jababa in the first round as the 2-7 matchup. Hikaru will be taking on Parham Magsudlu after the Caruana versus Sigoriev battle. So we've got Fabi and Sigoriev on camera here. We'll bring them up in just a minute, but as we do, let's remind everybody, again, if you happen to just be tuning in, hit the follow and the sub button for us. Get active in chat. We are going to be reading a question from the Chess TV chat to ask to the winner of our event today. So as we get closer to that, if you have a question, and assuming we are able to get them on camera, give us your interesting question, and we'll try to bring it. So we'll keep an eye on the Chess TV chat for that, and all the other chat rooms as well. All right, Sigoriev. It is not mate in one. Do not worry. Sometimes that just happens when you're just bringing the eval bar back to present. We have Sigoriev versus Caruana, and they are currently trading spaces. We fixed it. Awesome. My producer is super fast. Some of you didn't even catch that. Didn't even know what I'm talking about right now. You shouldn't. You shouldn't know what I'm talking about. I never know what Danny's talking about. That's what one guy just said. Okay, what happened here? We have a queen's pawn game transposed to a traditional QGD with a6 early, ed5, bishop g5. Okay. So this isn't the most common move order or standard Queen's Gambit declined that you always see, but it ends up in a structure that is very familiar, right? You've got the 3-pawn chain here in the center versus Black's 3-pawn chain leads to this open C file, which induces a minority attack where you push 2 versus 3, and you try to get b4 and b5. Also using the c5 square for the knight often makes sense. The issue for Caruana is even though Black's structure is super solid here, this isn't the best. Usually one of the more aggressive ways Black can play when they have this structure is to try to do things on the king's side likewise, while White is doing things on the queen's side. That's not going to be the case here for Black, right? Because Black doesn't have the aggressive setup that sometimes you can have on the Black side of this kind of Carlsbad pawn structure is the name of it. But it is super solid for Fabi, right? So maybe just right now wanting to play quickly, get a position that he can even draw, because remember, it's a 2-game match. So a draw as Black gives Fabi the white pieces where he's the stronger player against Sigoriev, and maybe that's part of his strategy. He's also 40 seconds on the clock, so I guess Caruana doing exactly what he needs to do as Black, despite the fact that I would kind of prefer White a little bit. I feel like the minority attack is just the easier plan to play for now. So maybe that time advantage is going to get a little bit less for Fabi. I think White's position is pretty simple. The real risk is if you play b4, the pony's going to go popping. Pop into c4, and you're not going to get me out, right? Forever. Thank you, Sandlot. So you have to be careful, and that's why Sigoriev is being patient, right? Doesn't want to give a permanent outpost square. Caruana bluffing at the idea that he might flip the script and head over to g2, huh? Right? Watch out. I might go Fabi fresh and funky and go for the attack. h5 guards g4, which prevents the queen trade offering. Me like, yeah? Okay. Rook e7. He's preparing to double rooks. The rook is just very useful here as well. It guards b7, which frees up the knight's duties, right? It also just keeps pressure, guards f7. This right here, take a snapshot. Everyone, use your face camera. Did you know if you do that, you'll forever remember what's in front of you? Ready? Everyone do it with me. Okay. Now you have a face camera that you can use forevermore. You're welcome. This is a snapshot of a very solid way for Black to play on the Black side of a QGD. And now knight takes e3 is winning. I said it with the eval bar sliding. I don't have any move suggestion, but I'm guessing that that's got to be the move. He misses it. Wait, this is also good. Oh, what am I talking about? e3 just falls. Oh, Sigoriev goes, what? Yeah, this is also good. He just wins e3 the old-fashioned way. Yeah, maybe this was the line. Okay, it wasn't knight takes e3 because in the end of the line, fe queen goes to d1. But okay, Fabiano just recognizes very quickly the blunder, and he's going to win now with the black pieces. Rook's going to go back to e7. Yeah, he's like, no counterplay for you, bruh. Guard b7, take my time. Now I will take d4. because I prevented all counterplay. And so again, what I was saying to back up a few moves ago, even before the blunder, is that this is a snapshot face camera, just super great coordination. This is how you play the black side of a QGD. And knight d3 blundered away the e-pawn. Fabi doesn't need to be asked twice. And here we are in an endgame where only black can win, which is going to put Sigoriev in a must-win game next as black. Most people don't play must-win games as black against Fabiano Caruana and live to talk about it. Like, that's not a thing. That's not, that's not a very, not a thing. So, Sigoriev in a tough spot. We recognized it early, right? Even though we didn't have Fabi streaming, we recognized very early it wasn't just that he was winning, he was dispatching of his opponents. And I think we are destined for a Caruana Nakamura final. So if you're somehow just tuning in, good for you. You haven't actually missed the fact that we may have our biggest in terms of the big name potential showdowns since the SCC Grand Prix went viral in June, right? Since we converted the Title Tuesday. This could be one of our most exciting finishes. Gonna be fun. I'm excited, if you can't tell, right? I'm a little bit excited here. Yeah, right. F6, now B4 falls. You're also throwing. God, this is just poor Sigoriev. Fabi is choosing flavors, right? Rook takes F6, fails to knight takes G4. Sigoriev is like, I've seen enough. I can't even take it anymore. I'm just going to resign. There was no moves. Rook takes F6, knight G4 was a fork. If you move the rook anywhere else, G2 falls. What a game. Fabi looking fresh and looking like the man to beat right now. Looking like the man who may be making the finals and seeing who joins them between Nakamura and Magsudlu. E4 played. Sigoriev is thinking about what to do and thinking right after this game of chess, he's going to go back to his game of where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, which is why he's got that map behind him, and he's been mapping it out very closely, really tracking Carmen Sandiego's footsteps. She was in Brazil, right? Now she's in London, right? Suddenly, Tibet. What's happening? Anyway. All of a sudden, she's in for a one night in Bangkok. And she accidentally gets on a chess video. Who knows? Carmen Sandiego, she has been wild and sassy. We will say that from the very beginning of her life. All right, G4 is played. Hope everyone's having fun. All right, Sigoriev is in a must-win situation as black. And here comes bishop to d4. This is just tough. White has a grip on the structure. A grip, so this is actually a wedge setup, but when you replace what would otherwise be the middle of a pawn chain with a piece, that's referred to as a wedge. You can put both bishop and knight in a wedge spot, but the advantages of it are that often the piece can do more on that square and creates more kind of tactical tension. There's more potential power when the piece is filling that square versus a pawn. The risk, obviously, is when you don't have a pawn here, as you see, e5 is potentially weak. So that's the balance of what's happened here. In exchange for the extra pawn, Fabi had to break his perfect chain, but should be a good position for white. I expect him to just play bishop d4. And no, he's still keeping the option of a knight, because the advantage of the knight there, if you can get the knight there, is a knight hits c6, e6, all these things, right? So the perfect piece for a wedge is normally a knight, because the knight is the only piece that actually thrives in the blockade. Right? Other pieces are temporarily choose blockades for defensive reasons. Maybe there's tactical power where you can bust open the blockade. The knight actually thrives in the blockade, right? Because of its ability to spy over the enemy. So Fabi keeping his options open, not just committing the bishop there. Respect. Respect. Five-head Fabi, as he's now nicknamed. By me forevermore. I just did it. I just gave a nickname. Five-head Fabi. You're welcome. Knight takes a5 is the reason queen to b7 doesn't work. Yeah, so he doubles the rooks instead because he needs to keep the queen defending the pawn. Now five-head Fabi's got to come up with something, because Sigoriev has played this well. Like, you can't move this knight to d4 without e5 falling. Ah, he does it, but e5's going to fall. Taste the soup. Where's the spoon? Aha! All right, I think e5 is falling. What Sigoriev is calculating is bishop e5, knight e6. So now that he takes it, but both pawn and bishop defend e5. Oh, but his idea is no matter how you take back, I still double rook. So yeah, so Fabi's all in on the idea of giving up the e5 pawn because the rook coming to the b file was such a problem. It was such a strong threat that white had to do something about it. Okay. 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 All right. All right. All right. Bishop e5. Sigoriev is right back in this one. We said he has to win his black. Not many people talk about that as a thing that they tried and it worked against Fabiano Caruana. But this is a dynamic position. You've got the bishop pair. You've got the b file. This is not the point is this is not a close your eyes and I get a draw position if you're Caruana. That's the point, right? It's just not it's not an easy one to draw. I have been drinking water in like 3 hours. Oh, don't worry, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. B3, but now I can take and get B3, right? The risk is my dark squares, so not really into that. Bishop D4, rook B3, queen H6. If F6, though, where's the mate? Where's the mate? It's dangerous, but where's the mate? Sigoriev is calculating it. Don't be surprised if he goes in. If he goes, here we go. We're going to find out. Bishop D4. Take. Rook takes B3. Fabi's all in on the dark squares. You got to mate. Otherwise, black might be better in the endgame. Whoa. Fabi gives up on that. Oh, he has bishop F4. That's the other idea. Yeah. Okay, yeah. That's the idea. Fabi has another idea that actually is played just in time. I think Sigoriev missed this. Must have been. Because I was only looking at bishop takes d4 too, but now Fabi gets to gain a tempo and then defend with either rook e3 or rook b1. Wow. Caruana. Tisk, tisk, tisk. So good. Seriously, that was like a trap that he laid. Bishop takes d4 looks like the risk to calculate is this. But he's like, no, black is good. And by the way, we were right. The computer likes it. But the trick was Fabi takes with the pawn, which you didn't see coming because you have this tempo. What a move. And Caruana is going to be in a position that only white can win. Now this is officially Caruana. I'm punching it. Oh, I have a stamper. I get the green pawn, the official Chess.com pawn. Stamping it. Caruana's in the final. Not a position white can lose. We are going to be looking at Nakamura versus Magsulu in just a moment. And I can't wait. If I've had Fabi does it again. Thanks for everybody that's with us today. We're having fun. And it's a Tuesday, so sometimes it's a little bit, slow in terms of the online chess world. But we've had some of the best chess today I remember in a long time. This has been a really, really great event. And Caruana has been leading the way from start to finish as far as seems to be on form Fabi. Fabi's on form right now. Look at that. He's just calling his bluff. Okay, you can still just play tickle with the bishop and go back to g5 on the next move. Just calling his bluff. He's like, look, a draw is good. You don't have to. I mean, you don't have to play for a draw. He's kind of doing it, but I was saying you could have gone to another square. The point is, remember, if you're just tuning in, Caruana won the first game, so a draw punches his ticket to the finals, which is why there's no way he's not going. It's opposite bishop position where white's in control. Fabi can decide how aggressive he wants to be here. Wait, did that allow f6? No, there was a pin on the e file. Okay, done. Okay, but now he can take and play h6 check. I know, but then f6. And so Fabi's being careful here. Rook to b8 allows rook takes e6, I think. I think Fabi might have just missed something. Wait, what's going on? He's got e7? No, but black is unwinding. The bishop can come to g5, but then we'd have to have a trade. Bishop d6 threatened queen d8. That was the idea. His queen's almost trapped. He has to go to h2. The rook guard the third rank. So now bishop e5. He's going to play f3 and queen g3. That's the idea. h6 blunders. Rook to b1. And Sigoriev is going to win. Holy crap. Dan, you jinxed it. Oh my gosh. We have bullet tiebreakers and Caruana gets mated. Oh my god. Oh my god. You guys, I did not make a bad call. This is completely winning for white. Anything wins here, but he lost his patience. He should have just played h6 first. Deny it, and then take. And it's like plus 15. I mean, you're just mated on g7. So Fabi misses the win, takes the pawn, and then after queen h6, the position becomes a total mess. I mean, Fabi still should not have lost. There's no way that white should lose this game. But slowly but surely, you could smell a rat, and now queen f5 threatens rook b1. Caruana had to find a way out of it, and he fails to do so. He plays h6 and loses on the spot. Gets mated on queen to d3. And I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. When does the bullet begin? Ask and you shall receive, Dan. I love how everyone's going to blame me. Dan jinxed it. It's my job to commentate and say the truth and call it like you see it, right? Who was the guy who, like, whose voice wasn't heard? Joshua Chamberlain lives? What was his name? Joshua Chamberlain? I don't remember. Someone who was blaming me that I was jinxing it. You know? It's like a commentator isn't wrong to say, well, they're up by 2 touchdowns, the game's over. It's, you know, I mean, it would take a miracle. And guess what? It took a miracle. Wow. Caruana now has to win in bullet, which is not his favorite thing to do. Not to say he's not an improved bullet player from where Fabi has been at, but he is not. He is not the best bullet player in the world. But we'll see if he can find his form, recover from that last very tough one where he kind of snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Wow. I'm still just absolutely blown away. Okay, c7 is falling, but remember, it's the main thing about this that's really crazy is what? We're in sudden death. b6. What a sick move. The c file opens. I won't punch Favi's ticket because I already jinxed him once. It would be wrong to do it again. But this position is completely winning for white. No, he didn't. He got rook c8. Oh my god. Calm down, Dan. That legit hurt my own face. That hurt my face. I smacked my own face. Queen 8. He hangs the rook. And Fabiano is... Oh my god. Oh my god. Holy crap. I'm on the edge of my seat. What is going on? Is black going to settle on the draw? And we're having another one? Fabi's playing for the win? What's going on? Oh my god. Holy crap. The drama is so real. This is insane. This is insane, everybody. The next game started, but again, Fabi blundered his rook. I can't show you because the next game's going. Oh my god. I'm going to let the players tell me what's going to happen on this one. I'm not going to predict anything. I'm just going to be like, well, now I'm not allowed to say that the eval bar says +10. I'm not allowed to do what I would do anyway. It's not my fault. Dragon Andre on YouTube, or whoever I saw on Gollin, Diamond Member on Chess TV, saying Dan jinxed it again. You jinxed it. Now Sigoriev is in a good spot. This is much better than the Queen's Gambit he had earlier. Caruana on tilt. Seriously, this is... G4 is a problem, by the way. Okay, he didn't play G4. I think G4 was a serious problem. Oh, just so you guys know, one of the funniest things you can't see is Parham Magsudlu on the Zoom chat, who's exhausted and waiting for his chance to play, and he's about to get it because Fabiano just lost. He just gave the mating net, and he only has 18 seconds. There's no way to deal with the f7. Unflippin' believable that Caruana is not competing in the final. I'm absolutely blown away. I'm absolutely blown away that Fabiano Caruana's day does not end in him playing the final, given how well he played. He dominated the regular portion. He was literally +15. He won the first game. Remember how I said not many people have been in must-win territory as black against Fabiano Caruana and lived to talk about it? Well, one of them has. His name is Sanin Sigoriev. But Parham Magsudlu is exhausted playing from Iran, and he's just like wants his match with Hikaru Nakamura to start. And this match just keeps going on and on. But we're going to get Parham on camera in just a moment. Oh my god. That was a Greek tragedy. Okay? A tragic comedy. No, because it didn't end in a fun... It wasn't funny. It wasn't funny. Oh my God, poor Fabi. Poor guy. I mean, seriously. Played the best chess I've seen him play in a Title Tuesday, now SCC Grand Prix, in a very long time. But it doesn't matter because a few huge blunders and snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Caruana goes home. Sigoriev is in the final. Here we go. It's Hikaru Nakamura versus Parham Magsudlu. The next matchup will begin in just a moment. I can't wait to see what's in store here. We have an E4, E5 game. And Hikaru Nakamura is streaming his own perspective. Remember that. You can always check out Hikaru Nakamura. Here we have a Berlin. Very traditional, simple theory, straightforward. The E-pawns are exchanged. We have a symmetrical structure, both sides shuffling for development now, and just kind of the optimal setup, right? How do we want these three? How does white want these three? So we have a completely symmetrical structure now, as we see. Remember, from a match strategy point of view, it's not the worst for black to draw their first game in these mini, two-game matchups of these of the Grand Prix knockout stage. Although, again, we have seen that black is capable of winning in must-win territory and coming all the way back, as Fabiano Caruana just learned, unfortunately. Okay. Bishop f5, Hikaru slowly unwinding. These positions are tricky, as we've said. They're boring optically. There's no denying it, right? I mean, you've got not a lot of race. There isn't kings on opposite sides of the board. There's no crazy checkmate attack. Both sides are competing for the exact same thing, which is kind of the only open file on the board. But this h4 pawn advance and then driving it up combined with the threats on the e-file is an alpha zero-ish prep idea. I did a video covering one of the great games from the candidates. I think it was a Wang Hao game or a Ding Li Ren game. I don't know. But this, we joke about the rushing of the H or A pawn is the alpha zero idea. Leland-Stein strikes back. But okay, it's become, at this point, it's not just an idea that the neural nets get credit for. The whole point is you drive these pawns, and even if you don't get anything, you create this long-term potential of a mating attack. Opportunities for your opponents to blunder, which is crazy when you talk about that from like Alpha Zero's idea, because it's such a human way to think, right? It's not a perfect plan, but it creates opportunities to blunder. And the depth that Alpha Zero showed with driving the H pawn in a lot of otherwise symmetrical positions has been fascinating. So anyway, so that's Magsudlu's idea, is to drive the pawn to H6, create a net around the king, because then in time pressure, all kinds of positions, the black king has tactical problems you have to watch out for. Magsudlu taking time to think here, because as the pieces get traded, then the H... So the risk of that, I talked about the pros, right? What's the risk? The risk of driving the H pawn is very clear. It becomes an overextended weakness, right? The calf has wandered too far from the farm, and all of a sudden the pawn becomes the one pawn that the black king eventually wins and gives black long-term winning chances. So very double-edged, a very double-edged idea, if you will, right? And so Magsudlu has to be careful before he pushes the H pawn up too aggressively. Dooka-dooka-doo, chicka-chicka-boom boom. I'm still blown away by that Caruana thing, and that everyone's blaming me for jinxing it. Oh, man. Wow. Queen to e8 offers the queen trade, and the idea is Hikaru wants the H pawn as a target. Okay, this is a good unwinding. I like this by Magsudlu. Denying the queen trade. He wants to work it. The queen wants to come up. The knight wants to get in. We've got the H pawn. We've got targets. This is a little scary. So Hikaru's going to pause a moment, make sure he finds his favorite approach. Ends up committing to G6. We see Hikaru on camera. Ultra focused there. Queen E7 is going to bring the knight to E8. That's his idea. Oh, we have to watch out for Queen B8 in a lot of positions. Nice looking French doors behind Hikaru. Very 18th century. Yeah. It's a blitz game, so the problem is if we just continue to pass on the position, I mean no progress made, then whoever gets under time pressure will be the one, with losing chances, not because of the X's and O's, but because of the clock. I like king g7. Hikaru's super good finding moves that sort of pass the turn in a way, right? Like put the pressure back on your opponent to find a plan, and maybe they don't find the right one. Now this knight has backed up, which means it no longer has the f5 square. So black can start considering moves like this at times. You have to be careful. You also have the knight coming to e6, but you got to watch out for this sort of stuff. Hikaru going to calculate, figure out what his favorite approach is now. Ultimately goes for g5. Knight comes back to e3. Yeah, we all feel for Fabi. Chess TV chat, Matthew Chris 10. All right, but it's weird. I like White's position, right? The bind is strong. The mating net is real, or it looks like the pressure's coming, but I don't see any kind of knockout blow. And this is where you can mess up these positions by trying to find the best move, right? That's what makes Blitz different than other formats, where this is no longer the age-old advice. If you see a good move, look for a better one. And Blitz and Bullet, it's like, if you see a good move, hurry up and play it already, because you're running out of time, right? Not the same advice you give to improving ambitious players in terms of longer time controls. Bishop e6. Threatens to take g4. That dynamic would be the endgame black wants, because what I'm highlighting is the h-pawn is right now the mating net asset of AlphaZero's, legend, the one I wanted. But if the attack goes away, the h6 pawn is weak. That's the problem. Hikaru worked himself back in, now up on the clock. That's what I'm saying. Magsudlu spent a lot of time trying to find the best move, trying to win with the AlphaZero attack. Now Hikaru just needs to play tickled. Right now he kind of knows, look, I don't even have to win this position on the board. I just have to not blunder while my opponent gets under time pressure. Knight f7. That's what we said. The h-pawn, that's your problem. Queen h5 makes sense, but Hikaru just goes right back without thinking about it. This is where he does well on the clock. Now b4, you can take it, and we have targets, right? You can take it, and both B and D are weak. Hikaru sits up there. We saw a little bit of a shuffle before settling on bishop f7. He's going to get rid of the bishop so we can get the knight ending. If he does, again, you give black better chances because of the potential weak pawns. b5 is a good move because if black takes it, now d5 joins the weak pawn party. b5 is a good move. Queen e4, I think, is what we'll see. Try to get the ladies off. No, he takes it, but now knight d5. What's going on? Queen e1? I don't understand. Whoa! Hikaru is all in on the... Now he can play queen e4. Oh my god, he missed it! He gets the endgame, and the knight is trapped! Self-trapped! Holy bejesus snaps! What a move! The knight is trapped. And now a3, you run. You run, right? Yeah, it's too late, too slow. Too weak, too slow, I always say. Magnus stole that line from me. Too weak, too slow, man. Wow. What a combo right there. Okay, queen g6, and Hikaru's going to win as black. But don't count him out yet. We already saw the heavy favorite in the first matchup win as white. Win as black, and then lose the second game. So Fabiano Caruana, if you're just joining us, was up 1-0 in his semifinal match versus Sanin Sigoriev below. He was up 1-0 and in a position that he had zero business losing. He found a way to mate himself in a super heartbreaking fashion, and then ultimately lost in a double bullet tiebreaker. So again, if you're just tuning in, Fabiano Caruana had a great day. He actually won the main event, the first 10 rounds. Fabi played fantastic, and then really sort of imploded there in the end. So it's not over yet. That's my point. Hikaru wins, right? We expect him to be the favorite to move into the finals here, but let's not count Magsudlu out because I've already done it before. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, we've got a Dutch. Nobody's favorite. I'm talking about the country, not the chess opening. Just kidding. The opposite. I'm talking about the chess opening, not the country. I'm not here to make fun of the Dutch. Peter stopped watching a while ago. He's been in bed. Peter Dockers. Peter Dockers was hanging out in the Chess TV chat. He better be in bed. You better be in bed, Peter. I tucked you in a long time ago. It's like when you find out you tucked your kid in and then you got distracted and did something for an hour and suddenly you come downstairs and they're like out of their bed playing on the floor. You're like, I tucked you in an hour ago. Go to bed. Peter, doggers. Okay. G3, knight to B6. What are you doing? You're heading into C4 followed by a queen relocation? All right. I dig it. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Abso-friggin-lutely. Okay, but Hikaru just playing safer chess. Simple stuff. Magsudlu down on the clock, a teeny bit. A very equal-looking position. I know I'm just pointing out a bunch of Captain Obvious stuff right now. Right? Not saying much about the position, just highlight. I've gone full of God Mator. Well, the knight is on the E4 square, and now the queen goes to the C2 square. Just kidding. Love you, Antonio. Knight to D6, B4, A4, B5. Don't do that. That's a horrible plan. Don't self-expand and implode, okay? Especially when you're in a... Exactly. Hikaru's in a 2-result game. A draw, and he moves on to the final. He sits tight, a much safer plan. You can prepare G4, though, because if we shake and bake here, eventually G6 falls. And that's a problem, right? This is problem. Duh. Oh, hello, it is I, your Uncle Sasha. Okay, very nice. What you have here? You have ideas inside of you. Let them out. He goes for G4. This was my move. Can I get a... Where's my emote? I never get to use it. That's why you go subscribe to twitch.tv/Daniel Wrench. Right there for that one emote. Takes, shake and bake, G6 falls, and Harry runs up the board. This is White's plan. So Magsudlu says no thank you. The risk of that, though, is that if you allow the tension to remain... no, Hikaru doesn't go for it. Okay, but he gets H1 anyway. I thought takes would have been met by queen takes. So instead, Hikaru gets Harry the old-fashioned way. I don't understand what's going on here. I like the H-pawn. Black must have had some sort of tactic here. I mean, was there knight f2? Was there knight g3? I don't know. Wow, Hikaru takes it, allowing the undoubled pawns just to make sure he can focus on advancing the passer. Very interesting. Duh. Okay, very nice. Bring the rook to the g file, right? Whoa, that is a double-edged move. So the risk of c4 by Hikaru is, and he sits up in his chair here, the thing is, if you lose the h-pawn, now black has real winning chances because you've also kind of obstructed your structure here, right? The king is potentially weak. Rook over to c1. Bishop a6. Hikaru's got mate on the brain. He wants c8. But where's the beef, right? Can Magsudlu just play bishop g4? Man, I think that black has decent winning chances here. E3's a threat, by the way. E3 wins the queen. Now E3's a discovered check. E3 discovered check met by F5 discovered check. Back-to-back discovered checks. You know that you rarely get to block a discovered check with a discovered check. Okay? It's one of those things that just as a chess player, back-to-back discovered checks. Morpheus is fighting Neo. Let's go, right? It's a fun one. Okay, Magsudlu doesn't know what to do here. Uh-oh, queen takes h7 is game over. I think that's it because of the mate. There's check first. And then you take, and it's over. Magsudlu just blundered. The eval bar revealed the truth. I don't have the moves, but this is my combo. F5 check, king moves, queen takes h7, and it's mate. This also just wins. I wanted the check for good measure. Hashtag Morpheus is fighting Neo. Hashtag discovered check syndrome. But just wins. And Magsudlu. Blundertown. Hello, I am also in Siberia, where they put all of us who make blunders. Most of my blunders came in former member of Soviet Union. And they put me in Siberia. But you can join me, Magsudlu. Well, Hikaru joins the finals. It is I, your old Uncle Sasha. What we do now? We go right to finals or we take break? Okay, very nice. Hello, it is I, your old Uncle Sasha is here for you. When we come back, we have more ideas inside of me that are wanting to get out. I will be back. До свидания. And we are back. It has been an awesomely fun day. We are getting set for our final. But if you're just tuning in the last few minutes, now I get to say shame on you because you have missed a star-studded knockout portion. We had Caruana beat Karyakin to start out. The last two players to challenge for the World Championship title. If you missed that memo, Caruana and Karyakin are the two previous World Championship candidates. Caruana moves on, but then loses in absolutely heartbreaking fashion to Sigoriev, who, for lack of a better way to put it, kind of got away with one. And Fabi snatched defeat from the jaws of victory a couple times and ultimately goes home. Sigoriev punches his ticket. On the other side, we had Hikaru Nakamura come all the way back. He lost to Jabava in the main event. He lost to Jabava, which put him in basically must-win territory for many, many games to go. He gets into the knockout, seeks and exacts his revenge on Jabava, and ultimately finishes the right side of things to be here against Sigoriev. This has been an awesome day. I cannot wait for these final couple games here. So if you're just getting here, don't go anywhere. See it through with us. We will likely have an interview with the winner when things are all said and done. And here we go. Okay, we've got another traditional kind of Queen's Gambit decline. This is what Sigoriev likes. He knows these positions very well, knows the move orders. Fabiano did well, though, in the first time as black. He won with black and kind of, like I said, a model game as black, but then was unable to keep pace. Here, Hikaru in a very tricky line where the bishop on h6 blocks his right to castle. So you're dealing with all kinds of potential crazy things that could happen when you're in a position like that, where things can be fine and then go awry very, very quickly when your king is stuck in the center if you haven't properly cleared the way to head to the queen side. Sigoriev probably just going to get castled. You can also maintain flexibility if you want to move the queen and try to make a threat and castle long, but for white, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. The risk of getting the king over here is this pawn cannot go back, right? So Hikaru immediately strikes, says, I'm going to try to open up your king side to take advantage of it. Shout out to the chatters going wild with the Wrench, Hess, Nakamura emotes. Platinum member Mustang, Platinum member Knight H. A lot of the chess emotes being used over there in the Chess TV and the Chess game chat. Okay. What Hikaru is trying to set up is a quick Rekharovka, Delina Rekharovka, Castle's Queen site, for those who don't speak Uncle Sasha. The idea is that because white's king is going to be pried open, it's sort of inevitable. If I can get the king out and allow the pieces to do work over here, I should be in a pretty good spot. F3, wow, what a weird position. This is just not something you see every day, right? Pieces are on odd squares. The white king is becoming open, but it's possible the center becomes open and then black's king is in trouble. Yeah. Knight f6. What? It's a weird position. I have a really hard time evaluating it, and apparently so does the computer, right? Because when they say zeros and equal, that's a math version of it. The human way you would say that is this position is unclear. This is a total nutty position, and probably single moves can go wrong. Queen f4. I expect Hikaru will just play queen to d7. But Sigoriev might be looking to capture, and then you have to make a decision. Are you castling long and just giving up pawns, right, allowing the position to open up? Also, watch out for this bishop g7 move. Like I said, this position, equality is being given, rough equality being given, because the computers don't have the depth and the amount of time to flex what they normally would if Stockfish or Leela were actually playing the position, right, or Komodo or something. So, but this is a very, very tricky position. Yeah. Bishop d6. Interesting. The queen will have to go back. She goes to e3 with check. Now Hikaru's going to try to get the queens off the board. But he's giving up the weak f-pawn. I don't think Hikaru is hitting himself in the head with the camera, VHTV. Or he's hitting himself on camera. If he's going like that. Yeah, when he's trying to calculate in a hurry, right? That's why his channel's popular. Rook to g8 threatens rook g6. That's actually a huge problem for Sigoriev. I don't think he saw that coming. This is going to be a problem. Rook to g... Actually, how do you deal with this, right? The f-pawn fell, but how do you stop rook to g6 now? The bishop is overworked and trapped, right? And has to defend the knight. Okay, you have e4, but probably this knight can move just somewhere with tempo. I mean, I guess e3, right? Actually, that's not a bad idea. e4, knight e3, because if the rook moves, you have knight c2, which is another fork on the d pawn and the a rook. So he can pop in here, and white still hasn't totally solved the overwhelmed pinned knight, right? Yeah, knight e3, good move by Hikaru. He's on form here. Started slow, but again, if you're just tuning in, Hikaru might be the first one in our 2020 SCC Grand Prix to win back-to-back events here. Hikaru Nakamura won last week on July 7th, and now he's looks like he's playing well and definitely the favorite here in the final. So crazy stuff. And actually, if you keep track of 3 weeks in a row, Hikaru in many ways probably should, or he would have been the favorite to win the knockout if he hadn't had internet problems where he accidentally revealed his IP address on camera and got DDoSed by somebody out there who has nothing better to do in life besides, you know, take personal pride that they crashed a streamer. Knight f7 is pretty much game over, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that's going to leave a mark. Okay, Bob. Okay, Bob. That's a super fork. Super fork. Super fork. Right? If we had another one, we get the octopus going here. Right? Hikaru, I mean, he's just... Again, it's impressive only, but not because we see Hikaru do this a lot, but the fact that he started out badly, you don't... I mean, you lose one game, and there's a very good chance that could be the nail in the coffin, right? You got to really keep it together. So the fact that he lost earlier on a few hours ago and has come all the way back is why this is so impressive. So this is the finals, indeed, as a Platinum member Knit176 just tuning in. That was a super fork. That was the first super fork you've ever seen, TBP. I've seen an elephant fly. So now we've all seen crazy stuff. Super fork. That sounds like a movie that like even Seth Rogen could get behind, like Super Bad, Super Fork. I don't know. Well, I'm not gonna design the plot of that movie because it just wouldn't be PG. But you know. All right. Well, Hikaru Nakamura looks like he's on pace now with the white pieces. Yet again, is in control of his own destiny. He only needs a draw, so it's a 2-result game. And Sigoriev is from Russia, indeed. Greek something. So yeah, crazy stuff. This is the same variation we saw Conrad Holt play earlier, with the different, meaning that Queen C2 game we saw versus, I believe it was Vidit Gujrathi, with the difference being that Sigoriev chose to play D5 rather than castles, which goes in for this crazy E4 line, which I'm not sure if Hikaru would have played. He might have just played the traditional A3. But this Nimzo Indian is just very close to equal, right? White has the bishop pair in exchange for the fact that he's lost some time. You've lost some time with the queen, so black has managed to kind of equalize in terms of center control, normally down a move. Black is now just going to eventually force the tension here, where I'm either going to take and open it up, where I'm undermining your knight. Maybe I follow that with c5 because I'm undermining the protector of the pawn. This is sort of black's plan. This is actually a very Tartakower-ish structure, QGD language. And here comes knight to c6, knight d2, maybe h6 actually. Unpin the knight. Whoa, wait. There's no queen c7 because of rook c8. That's sick. Queen to d8, rook c1 is checkmate. LOL. Omega lol, as the kids say. Omega lol. So queen c7 is not a threat. Rook c8 would win on the spot. Knight e7. Okay, so you give up the double pawns, but the idea is that, you know, white has lost the bishop pair now, so that advantage is gone. And black is often in a pretty safe spot with the king on the g file because there's just not a lot of minor pieces left to launch like a full-scale attack, right? So that's what black is doing here. c5 played. Hikaru's going to... Wait. There was no way to take? Trading d2 for e7, e2 for b7. Great. I don't know. Maybe not. Hikaru plays patiently anyway. Probably calculated that a million minutes before I did. And now white's a little better with the c file and the double pawns, but still, it's not a huge advantage. Queen to d7. Going to bring the rook over to c8. I like it. Sigoriev holding on. But again, the biggest issue here, again, Hikaru is in a must-win. Sigoriev's in a must-win situation. If you're just tuning in, you missed the moment of the day today when Sigoriev won with black in a must-win game versus Fabiano Caruana. The reason he's still left standing. This is going to be a lot harder to come up with a win, I think. It lacks some of those crazy dynamics that can allow for blunders. You know, white is in a very safe edge here. Bring the king up, right? Just kind of sit on the position. You can play on the queen side if you want. But Hikaru, again, yeah, just plays king f2. Here comes b4. At some point we can offer a queen trade. There's no real threats here for black. No real way to change the structure either and make it dynamic. And as Hummus1 in Twitch chat just pointed out, that he's also up 1 minute and 15 seconds. So that's also helpful, right? It gets awkward. Ooh, that allows queen c5 check, but I guess just queen e3. This is Hikaru's way of flexing that he is playing for 2 results, right? Because knight c4 may not be the move you would play otherwise, but it's like now you have to get rid of the knight because queen c5 would allow a queen trade, which makes your winning chances even worse. Black is in a must-win position where he has no business winning. Again, I jinxed the bleep out of it earlier, right? Saying Fabiano, there was no way he could lose. In fact, that's really where I do get blamed for the jinx, because I grabbed the pawn and I stamped it, right? I grabbed my cute little green pawn, a prop on my desk here. So Fabi, I guess, can be mad at me about that. It was said in the highest of confidence in believing in Fabiano's abilities, and a game he should have won, but he didn't, and Sigoriev is here, and now Hikaru is about to take home today's little championship, the mini event. He's going to win today's SCC Grand Prix. I'm not going to stamp it. I won't do it again. Or I should, just to prove that I'm not jinxing it. Okay. If I do it and Hikaru wins, you all have to take it back that I'm not the reason Fabiano lost. What do you think? Deal? Hikaru Nakamura wins today's SCC Grand Prix. Stamped. In the books. Okay? People go crazy now. Don't do it! No! Oh, wait. Did Hikaru just blunder to King G5? Why wasn't King G5 good? That makes me feel better. I don't think Hikaru can lose now with King F4. Wait. Why is Hikaru doing that? Oh, wait. Bishop B5. Okay. Oh, now I'm going to have a heart attack if Hikaru... Because then I'm like, wait, is this pawn that powerful? You know that scene in Indiana Jones where the librarian goes like this and bangs it? And like all of a sudden it's so loud and he doesn't understand why? It was, that's Indiana Jones' Last Crusade. Like all of a sudden you're banging the pawn and, you know, I'm setting off a jinx butterfly effect. No, I'm not. Thank you. Hikaru Nakamura wins. I stamped it before it happened. I am not responsible for Fabiano Caruana jinx. You heard it here. Well, Omega Lol, one of the craziest days we've ever had here on the Speed Chess Championship Grand Prix. Hikaru Nakamura wins back-to-back events. He won last week. He wins this week. He's telling everybody why he's the man to beat in a lot of these events and doing so while streaming. When we come back, we will have an interview with the man himself, Hikaru Nakamura, and more final thoughts on today's SCC Grand Prix. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a couple minutes. And we are back as promised with the winner of now back-to-back Title Tuesdays here in the SCC Grand Prix. Hikaru, you got the job done today, man.
Yeah, it was kind of a very strange event for me. I felt that I didn't play well throughout most of the qualification portion, and then sort of towards the end I played really well, and then it carried over into the knockout phase. So it worked out, but it was just a very strange way of going about things,
How,
really.
how sweet was that? That obviously your only loss in the main event was a tough one to Jababa, but then you get him in the first round of the knockout. And I was saying that revenge is best served cold. Was that nice for you? Were you happy to get a second chance there, get that win?
Yeah, I mean, certainly playing against Jobava and having that opportunity after the first game, which I really should not have lost. It was nice because I felt that if I didn't lose that game, it would have been a lot smoother. Like I should have taken a draw at a couple points. And when I didn't, he found a couple of really nice tactical ideas which I
Right.
couldn't recover from. So, um, yeah, I felt like it was nice to get that opportunity, but really all the matches were difficult. And the match against Parham especially was just crazy. That
Yeah.
was just very, very up and down.
Well, I mean, and I know you've done it before, so it'll seem a little bit like I'm asking you to explain yourself again. But I think for people watching, just to see you lose early, and it was a storyline we were talking about today, right? Hikaru's lost early. Can he come back? Will he be able to keep the event going? Because it's super tough, right? And now you basically were in a must-win situation for the rest of the day. So do you change your mindset there? Is it actually a battle of not changing your mindset and staying calm? Like, how do you keep yourself focused in an event where you lose early on?
I mean, this is the first time I think I've lost early on and actually qualified. I've had a couple of
Okay.
opportunities where I think I've been pretty close going to the last round. Like I've started like with a loss somewhere in the middle, or I've dropped a point and a half. But always in the last round, I think I've drawn, or my opponent's been
Right.
very solid, and I've been unable to win that critical 10th game. So I think mainly you just try to stay focused. But for me, there was this game in the middle that I think you probably saw against Bukovsky, the Israeli grandmaster, where I was
Oh,
down a
yeah, yeah,
rook.
yeah. The queen takes F2. I fell out of my chair. I was like, was that a
Yeah.
mouse slip or what? What was that?
Well, I think he thought that it was just winning by force, and I think it was probably, but I don't know why you would do that when you're up a whole rook. Like it's just a little bit
Right.
too fancy. Um, so yeah, I mean, I had that game which somehow I won, and then I felt at the end I played pretty well. So it's mainly just keeping yourself sort of realizing you have a chance if you win out. But
Right.
having to win out means, of course, you have to take big risks as well, and just find that balance and getting some of the lucky pairings like I did in the last round against Narayanan, where he played a close Sicilian instead of something a lot sharper and a lot more open, where I think it would have been
Right.
harder for me to win.
Yeah, your facial expression after the Bykowski game said, "Oh, we were watching you." That was so funny, like because you couldn't believe Queen takes F2, right? And then you went with the H and the E pawn. That was awesome. All right, man. Hey, if it wasn't for the crazy internet fiasco of 3 weeks ago, you probably would have won 3 weeks in a row here, right? So how are you feeling? As you head into next week? I mean, you're busy, but if you're planning on playing, are you feeling like you're finding your flow here in the weekly Grand Prix?
I thought my play in the previous couple title Tuesdays was really good. I thought my play today was not good at all until
Right.
until pretty much the end of the event. So finding my flow is a little bit of I think the wrong way of putting it. But I think generally speaking, I've figured out sort of the right strategy to stay in contention and where to be solid and when to take big risks is what I would say. And so I feel pretty good, and I mean I assume I'll play next Tuesday, and we'll see if I can make it three in a row.
Cool, man. Well, we'll see it. We'll see you soon, and we know you'll be streaming every day. For those, if somehow you're watching this and you're not a follower already, go to twitch.tv/GM Hikaru. So, don't think we have many of those left, man. But thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck. Probably next week if we don't see you before that.
Great, thank you. See you soon,
You know.
Danny.
All right, Hikaru Nakamura gets the job done. That really was a wild event today, and he was able to stay the course despite the loss to Jababa, like he said, and ultimately comes all the way back with a sweet revenge victory, as you see the bracket in front of you right now. Ultimately, then beats Magsudlu and takes care of Sigoriev. So, surprising victory. It felt like Fabian Caruana on the left side, the American there might be the American who was going to win the event, at least earlier on, as Hikaru said. He doesn't feel like he played his best chess today, but found a way to get it done anyway. Fabiano played great chess and stumbled down the stretch. Interesting stuff. Can't wait for next week. This event has me excited just as a chess fan, and I hope all of you are too. Speaking of getting excited, one last shout out to our sponsor of the event, your friendly personal coach. is here for you. Download on iOS or Android for free. The Dr. Wolf app is super instructive, real-time feedback from the virtual coach, and the more you play, the better he gets at giving you feedback. It's an awesome tool. We're super excited to have been able to bring on the Dr. Wolf app as part of the family here on Chess.com, and we hope that you give it a download and give it a try. So, wow, what a day. This was a blast. My first time doing comedy. Actually, it's only been a couple weeks, but you know, there's a lot going on, so many events here on Chess.com. Thank you for tuning in. And on behalf of the team, the entire crew working super hard, all the things that go into fair play and making these matches happen, coordinating with players and things that bring this stuff to life. The moderators who help everyone be safe, happy, and healthy here, as sane as we can all be in the year that is 2020. I, for one, blame Barbara Walters for the year 2020. I hope that all of you do as well. And on that note, I'm going to leave you with a final thank you also to my production team, the producer here, Aaron, and everyone else that makes this happen. Signing off, Danny Wrench. I'll be back next week for another SCC Grand Prix, and we'll see you then.